So this is a module that I co-opted from being from my employees. So you are going to learn how TPF and only TPF. Now you might go somewhere and they be like, that's not ECM. They doing it, they ECM. Which I think other people's ECM is kind of like making phone calls once a month and saying how you doing and then doing a note. Whereas ours, it has wellness labs, community play dates, intentional clinical oversight by a nurse practitioner and a therapist. So that's the model you're going to learn today. And I will pause for Q&A and all that stuff at the end, but I'm really just going to breeze through it. I will have partner presenters with me. Devin is here. He's going to show up in the relationship building. He's one of our consultants who has been helping me do the consulting with the state to build out the collective care in action, to do the coaching for the organizations, to learn, to help us learn how to serve you, to have your own contracts in the future. We will never kick you off of our subcontractor unless you're not doing your work. You could stay subcontracted with us and still get your own contracts and remove yourself from lines of service. So do know that everything you're learning today, I'm expecting you to understand and know and disseminate to your employees and your staff and your team, because this is the foundation of the work they're going to do. This is the direct service provider lens that we're about to go into. Direct service provider lens with a mental health perspective and knowing how to bill for it. So listen, don't retain it all. If you don't understand, if I'm talking too fast, it's okay. I talk fast. I'm recording it. I'm trying. And we will also put all these modules on our Tovuti platform, which is our live and self-paced webinar platform. So you guys can access this. We're also going to send you this presentation so that you can have it and reference it in the future. So you don't have to remember it all. You don't have to take a bunch of notes. Just listen and receive and learn. I'd also recommend, because I'm a teacher and all that stuff, that you maybe write down the things that really resonate with you, because you retain more information when you write it down. Not just listen to it and heard it, or even saw it on your computer. That's not how you learn. I don't know if y'all know that. I don't know if you know your learning style. I definitely learn from looking at something and writing it down. And I recommend you think about your learning style as you move through this presentation, okay? Also, one other thing I wanted to put out there is you have your Training Academy guide. You do not have to follow this. You just have to follow what I say or what all me and my partner presenters. After Devin, you might see Ivana. She's going to help you with access. You might see Paulette and Philip, who will help us with talk about clinical and some of the other things about organizational structure with TPF. We're going to tag team it. We're a team. When my mouth start hurting, I'm be like, somebody else come talk. and that might happen. One of y'all might get up. Oh, no, mom. Hold up. Did you do coaching with me? Somebody else go take over. But you have this, you'll notice that it's printed out and it's not given to you digitally. That's because this is mine. This is my Training Academy, my phases, what I created. It is sometimes a problem when you give your whole thing to somebody else, suddenly your logo is gone, especially if you gave it to them digitally. Not that you can't just scan this and use it, but you don't sign an addendum and a contract and let me see you do that. I'll see you another time.
That's how we first met professionally. There was something like, this is my beautiful, and it is gorgeous workload. And if I see it anywhere else, I will sue you.
I will. That's why you sign agreements and things, not because I don't trust you, but this is the way of business. You are now in business. This ain't friendship only. If we would just be at a brunch right now. We wouldn't be talking with a presentation and things like that. We'd just be hanging out and you could be picking my brain like you want to, but you won't be engaging with my clients in a trusty way because, so this is your Bible of your training. And you don't have to know it. Like I said, go over it with your team. We go into 5 phases of a Training Academy. Phase 1 was all the contracts, the letters of information, the signatures, did you do this? Do you have an MPI? That was phase 1. You have engaged in it. Congratulations. And that was also the first presentation. That will also be on Tovuti, on the thing for you to access at self-paced. If something passed over you, you didn't get it, you was excited about something else, you're distracted today, it's okay. You got access to that presentation and you could always go back and look at it again. And this final one is also phase 3. So it goes into, phase 2. It goes into 5 phases. So you will have completed phase 2 at the end of today. You will get a certificate if you sign in and sign out. And all of our certificates will count for you. So if you ever wanted to go get a job for somebody's CalAIM program as a CHW, you can turn in all your certificates from us and it will count as your hours towards your CHW training so that you can actually be considered a CHW for another organization as well, which is why I'm intentionally making it structured and giving you certificates so you can use it even beyond our collaboration. Okay? So so now you got your training academy guide. You have your landscape. Those are all your tools. And then you'll get this. Okay. So now I'm going to go in it. Now, when I say I'm going to go in it, I'm going to just start talking. Y'all might have questions and you might be really confused. You could raise your hand if it's a minor thing about something that, what does that acronym mean? What is that? Where do you talk about? Pause me. I can go back. But if you have a specific question about what do I do when I get a client like this, or my organization has this, this, and this, we can't answer that in the immediate. That can be more towards the end and also as we continue to consult. Good?
We also have the dry erase boards over here with Post-it notes at the bottom. And so there is the opportunity to like write down a question and stick it on the board. And if we don't get to it today, we can send out a mass email with the answer to frequently asked questions.
Okay. Thank you. So I've been using the word CalAIM a lot. That's because most of you are contracted, as far as I know, as CalAIM providers for TPF. We also have a line of service called Healthcare Access. Healthcare Access is our line of service that is for behavioral health and medical health. So it's for the clients who are suffering maybe from being unhoused and poverty, but they have a mental illness that is stopping them from getting placement. They have a physical illness that is stopping them from getting placement, a shelter, whatever it is in their life, something about their mental or physical health is impacting them. They can be referred also to Healthcare Access. TPF has therapists, TPF has a nurse practitioner, TPF has the ability to do psychotropic medication management. We have the ability to send for lab work if somebody needs a blood test or things like that. We have in the past been able to do full-blown comprehensive assessments for children who needed a regional center referral because we have a doctor and we have a therapist on site and we can give that letter if that kid needs to be in regional center. So we are a targeted outreach approach to addressing healthcare access across the board, and healthcare access is your referral into that. But it's not the same as CalAIM. We are not therapists and we are not doctors at CalAIM. If you are in the CalAIM program, it's generally if you are somebody who is overutilizing healthcare systems from your insurance company or underutilizing healthcare systems from your insurance company, okay? Gonna get this slide, I'm not gonna read it. That's a summary. Next slide. The key differences between CalAIM and Healthcare Access. CalAIM is here to outreach and build relationships. Providers create relationships that lead to individualized care plans for each client. Why do you think we would need individualized care plans for outreach clients? This is not therapy, right? This is not medical. Why do you guys think we need that? You can just throw it out.
But each client's different, has different needs.
Measure outcomes, the success of.
Definitely measurement to know whether they're regressing or progressing, right? What else? Advocacy. What is a care plan though? Like, what is it physically? Words written down. Documentation. What does documentation do? I think you guys know I have a thing. What's my job here?
Client and the organization understand what the plan and the goals are.
Yes, so it's that understanding, that written narrative of I'm the client, this is what I'm gonna do. You the provider, this is what you're gonna do. And this is the timeline we're gonna do it in. When you don't have this for people who are in need, they don't even remember who they talked to. I think I saw you one time, girl. We spent 6 months applying for Medi-Cal together. I got you in that house you was in for 2 years. You don't remember me? They don't. They don't. Because all they wanted was help.
Yeah.
They didn't care who it was. You was patting yourself on the back. Look what I did for her. She didn't even know. But if you documented it and you had a care plan and it was signed by them on this date, guess what? They can't say you wasn't there. I actually have people came in for sessions with me, called the insurance company, said, why they charge us copayment? It was their copayment. They signed it and everything. I had to prove that they signed in that day. There's a picture of them walking in. No, it's serious. I mean, and I don't think they're doing it because they are trying to take from us. This is not it. This is the client we serve with CalAIM. They have been assigned to us by the insurance company because the insurance company can't find them. Insurance company ain't making enough money. Go find them, make the bill. That's what they think they're doing. We are doing something else, right? And that's the difference, intention with all of the programs. Now, Healthcare Access, I already told you. It's a further extension of our advocacy and our documentation. From the CalAIM program, you have to refer to external sources. It doesn't have to be TPF that you refer to for therapy or the doctor. It could be the hospital you know. It could be that doctor around the corner. It could be St. John's that you have a really good relationship with that nurse or that nutritionist or this person at this person. It don't have to be us. And in fact, it won't be us because we're very small. We're for the targeted client who really needs it in the immediate. We are hoping that CalAIM program is building enough relationships that we have enough people to refer to so that we don't have to be everything and anything. That's what TPF is hoping. Because there is not enough Black providers who specialize in perinatal mental health and early childhood like I do. I'm trying to train interns. I'm trying to bring them up, but there's no way for us as a small organization to meet all these needs. So therefore, CalAIM and Healthcare Access work together collaboratively to find more resources for not only us to refer to, but for people to feel like they can get their needs met in the immediate and remember who they're working with. You know, if they remember who their care plan person is, their case manager and their outreach, we call it a support squad. So on CalAIM, our support squads are made of community health workers, LCMs, and clinical consultants. The clinical consultants are generally therapists, doctors, occupational therapists. We have one financial health nurse who helps all my clients who got financial issues, always unhoused and got poverty. You got to go meet with this lady once a quarter to talk about if you got life insurance or if you ready to try to invest in something with your life or some financial literacy because that's what's blocking them in their health care. So the clinical consultant is a specialist. Somebody who could bill as a clinical consultant is somebody who is a master's level therapist, a master's level intern underneath somebody's supervision. It could be somebody who has a medical MPI, like a dietitian, a nutritionist, MP in so many different ways, a physician's assistant. All those people can count as a clinical consultant. And the clinical consultant is the one that oversees comp assessments and care plans. The lead care manager is the primary lead of the support squad. They're the one who is supposed to know if your client is on fire. If your client is on fire, meaning that their assessments and measurements are saying that they are suicidal, they want to harm somebody else, you have to tell a clinical consultant so they can go in and check on them and do crisis intervention. And the community health workers reports sort of in a way to the LCM. And the LCM is the one that tells the community health worker, I done called my client 3 times today. They are suicidal on their assessments. I can't find them. They're not responding to emails. Can you go to their house? And that's the difference between Healthcare Access and CalAIM. A therapist ain't gonna show up at nobody's house. What? You better show up to us. This is boundary setting. You better show up to your appointment, say your copayment, and then we end in 45 minutes and I'm gonna do your note and I and your friend and the family to talk to you whenever you want. But at LCM, you should be accessible to your client in that way. I often hire clinical interns as LCMs because I found that you need a clinical skill set sometimes to de-escalate somebody who's in an extreme crisis. So I would really recommend that LCMs do be people who have experience dealing with people in trauma and de-escalating and regulating them. But that doesn't have to be a therapist, which is why it's not a requirement, okay? And then the community health worker, like I said, is the most important, the trusted person, the face, the one that they don't remember that they know you, but they know they got something and they was happy about it. So now there's a nurturing, energetic feeling of I like you, I trust you, and I'll believe you when you say I need a doctor or a mental health professional. All right. Next, these are the insurances we accept. So you know our support squads, right? I think, did we jump ahead? Let's go back one more slide about the programs. Okay, no, it's afterwards. Keep going. So these are the insurance we accept for all of our programs. We have the CHW standalone program. So what's interesting about the community health worker, the community health worker can work in 2 service lines. So we have 2 programs, CalAIM and Healthcare Access. I'm not going to mention STRTP or ArtGuard because it does not apply currently in this conversation. You're going to learn more about it later. But TPF overall has 4 operating programs. The 2 primary ones that are billable in this current model that we're discussing is CalAIM, which has CHW standalone, ECM, and community supports. For CHW standalone, this is different from the outreach we do for ECM. For the standalone, this is for people who you just meet on the corner or like you at the store and they tell you their whole life story and they, you know what I'm talking about. You don't know nothing about, you ain't got their insurance. But they tell you everything, and then they're like, they trust you now because you made eye contact. You're like, yes, I heard you and I see you. And now you go home and feel very responsible for these people until you do something. The CHW standalone benefit is what we can bill for that. This is people who are coming to us without a list. We don't know nothing about them. But if you can get them to tell you their name, their email, their date of birth, and maybe their address, we can verify if they're qualified for the standalone benefit. And anybody with Medi-Cal qualifies for the standalone benefit, like even direct Medi-Cal. And that's 12 sessions per year, I think, of just getting to help people apply for Medi-Cal, apply for ECM if you think that they should be in our ECM program. The time spent helping them apply is CHW standalone, okay? We have the contract for CHW standalone with Anthem. We just got it. Woohoo! We got that contract in December. It was a fight. We started with only ECM, okay? But the way I convinced Anthem to give me the CHW standalone benefit was because I was doing those resource fairs and my MIF list people that was from the list they gave me wasn't coming. But I was enrolling a whole bunch of people from the resource fairs as internal referrals and they noticed. And I said, I can't keep doing that for free. You ain't letting me bill for nothing. Because you only bill for outreach and ECM once they're on the list. So the fact that people are coming into our ECM from not a list was us doing it for free until I added the standalone benefit. So now we accept standalone benefit from HealthNet, Anthem, and Kaiser. We are not the primary contract with Kaiser. Kaiser only gave a prime contract to Full Circle Health, Community Partners, I think, and ILS. 3 organizations, nobody else. So I had to subcontract with Full Circle Health, and that's how I serve Kaiser clients for CalAIM programming, okay? Now, enhanced care management is we get a whole list of people from the insurance companies every month. The list of people ranges from about 100 people from every insurance company. So every single month we get 100 new clients from these MCPs to outreach to and make a phone call, a text, call, knock on their door and say, hey, you got assigned to us for ECM. Do you want your benefits? Do you want help with transportation to your doctor's appointments? Do you need help with any routine, any health things? How can we help you? Most people think we fraud and hang up the phone. And it's really interesting. ECM is people be like, what you talking about, Willis? They are so mistrustful. They don't want to hear none you got to say. So the ECM program has been very hard to implement without the standalone, which is why I decided to do this hub model, because we need more trusted faces, because we can have a million lists of people. If they don't know you, they don't like you, what you calling me for and asking, offering me things? Why you offering me this? What you going to take from me? This is our mistrust, okay? So this is why I have to explain to you the difference in such detail. So if you have people who were on that list and you called, and let's say I assigned you a client, 100 Anthem clients. By the way, we got more than 100 Anthem clients. We have about 7,000 Anthem clients. They gave us the biggest amount of clients, which is what you guys, if y'all are ready, and you're ready to do some outreach, you got to tell me how much you can do in a day. Then we'll go from there. But the Anthem, HealthNet, and Kaiser clients that are in ECM, even after they say yes, they don't remember they said yes, and they're confused about what it is. And that's important to know. And then we have Healthcare Access, which is Cigna, Evernorth, Blue Shield of California, HealthNet, and Kaiser. So TPF was primarily a behavioral health organization before I decided to transition into clinical case management. So we have a lot of contracts for behavioral health, and that's what these 2 bottoms one are. Remember I told you I have a for-profit and a nonprofit? Innovative Wellness Consulting is my for-profit business. That's the one where I am basically, I don't want to have a whole nother therapy staff over at my consulting firm. So I pass through all income for MHN, Carillon, Anthem, and Direct Medi-Cal to TPF to do the services. But those are our contracts. So it's important for you to just know this, because when people ask you, do you accept my insurance? Go back to this slide. I'm gonna give it to you. You don't have to ask us, just go look at it, okay? Next slide.
Insurance, is it the Medi-Cal subsidiary or it's like just general, like if I have Health Net as a social worker, I could use the ECM benefit?
CalAIM is it's poverty related.
Yeah.
You have to be Medi-Cal. So if Health Net is your Medi-Cal carve out that you chose, open enrollment just ended or it's currently open, I don't know for Medi-Cal. But if you chose Health Net when you got the option, then we can see you for CalAIM. If you chose Anthem or you chose Kaiser, we could see you. However, if you chose Direct Medi-Cal, we can't see you for ECM. We could see you for the standalone for only 12 sessions a year. So it really is important for you to be informed in this way so you can help them choose which insurance to choose. Because basically when they don't choose a carve out, they ice themselves out of all kind of programs. And people don't know that. Now you do, right? There's knowledge. Now knowledge is power. Okay, here's the eligibility for the 3 programs. So we have for CalAIM eligibility, you have the CHW standalone, ECM care, and community supports. And for healthcare access, it's behavioral health, physical, somatic health, and clinical care coordination. So when it comes to healthcare access, it's like, if you're working with a client who you're the case manager and you're doing CalAIM, you can definitely concurrently enroll them in healthcare access and partner with a clinical consultant who sees them regularly for therapy. And then you got to check in with, you could have we call them MDTs, CWEs with the clinical consultants. So if you guys have, like a therapist has 3 of your clients on their caseload, you can schedule meetings with them and say, let's talk about my 3 clients and what I should be doing for them clinically. And then they can tell you, I think you should refer them to this group at this program. So it's a collaboration between the 2 programs. And sometimes a clinical consultant may act as a clinical consultant who reviews the care plans and comprehensive assessments for their own clients that they see in healthcare access, right? So it makes it integrated. Okay, any questions before we move on? Okay.
Somatic, systematic.
What is it?
Yeah.
Somatic means the way the body feels, like the body awareness.
Mhm.
So if you are having a client who constantly says they're nauseous, they're not sleeping, they're grinding their teeth and they're very irritable and they're losing their work all the time, they might be a really good referral for our somatic work with the doctor or our acupuncture. Sometimes we have lots of specialty work for somatic because that's my specialty. When I do treat people, when I'm in practice, I utilize restorative yoga and sound healing to address the somatic symptoms that happen in our body with our trauma, sleeplessness, grinding your teeth, irritability, anger, so that.
Okay.
Okay. Next slide. This is a summary of what I kind of already just said. Remember, this is intended to show you. I'm not going to go through every single slide and read to you, but this is intended to be available to you for your own knowledge and a step-by-step way to understand what your role is and who you are in the moment when you're engaging with a client. If a client tells you immediately that they have no insurance, who are they? What service line? How do you know that? Just because they told you they don't have any insurance? They obviously can't be ECM on that list, right? So we have to use the standalone benefit, and this is your slide you go to kind of confirm that, okay? Next slide. CHW standalone services do not require ECM enrollment. No paperwork is needed. All you got to do is get their name and their date of birth and all that stuff. So this is the easiest one. You don't have to verify no benefits. They got Medi-Cal, they got a date of birth, and you got their little Medi-Cal number. You can bill sometimes even more than the 12 sessions a year, especially if there's per medical necessity. So this is the one that is sort of in an experimental phase with the state right now. We have a really great opportunity to show them that they should expand this benefit, right? We should be collecting data. That's why I ask for everything to be written down, a note for everything. Anytime you talk to a client, even if it was to help them with something before they enrolled, You should be documenting and doing a note. So one thing about the community health worker, we have various tiers of the way we train our community health workers. We have a tier 1 community health worker, which is somebody who's really good with people, really good with building relationships, but they don't really document very well and they have a really hard time with structure. And then we have a tier 2 community health worker who is a little bit better with the structure and the documentation. Both are very needed. Sometimes we have a CHW who can do both. The tier 2 is someone who can do tier 1 and tier 2. And there is a higher pay rate for a tier 2, obviously, and something for you to consider as you're hiring, that you need to understand that tier 1 is necessary, but so is tier 2. And tier 2 is especially necessary to help maybe their tier 1s to document if they have a deficit. Sometimes they're really good at some things and not things. Know as leaders who your people are, because it's important. You cannot concurrently do CHW standalone work with an ECM client. So once they sign that ECM enrollment form, no more standalone. Make sense? You can't even pick that when you do a documentation because they're already enrolled in ECM. We would get in trouble for double billing and it won't work. It'll get denied anyway. You won't get paid. Okay? So said standalone is before enrollment, before a yes. If they say no to ECM, but I like you, I'll talk to you next month. You now have a client you could check in about 12 times a year. Makes sense? So CHWs can have a caseload, should they so choose, if they build relationships with people. Okay, next slide. Here's a quick reference for that standalone benefit. So what it is, preventative outreach-based health support. Who qualifies? Medi-Cal members with or without ECM referral or enrollment. Now, the reason why I say with or without ECM enrollment, it really should be referral, not enrollment, because you can never do CHW standalone if somebody's already enrolled in ECM. If they've already said yes, you can't do this. So if they're in consideration mode, up until they say yes, all those dates of service, all those contacts you have with them until they say yes can be billed as a CHW standalone. Just, I would say what I often do is I like write a little note off to the side. 1/26/26, this client's first initial last name, did outreach, send them an email, and then I try to go put that in a note later because that could be enough of a note. They don't have to be like, had a whole conversation about this or that. The system doesn't need that with the CHW. It's only that you did it, you saw them, and there was an action taken. Assessment required, no assessment required. So we usually do measurement-based care. We send out an assessment through a digital app called Blueprint Health. You don't have to do that here because all you're trying to do is getting them to get either enrolled in ECM or in therapy with somebody or in a house, right? Or safe or off the street or away from that DV guy who's following them. You know, like all those things that we need to help people with is this benefit, and it's available to you through your health insurance, which I think is quite amazing. Honestly. Scope of work, outreach, health education, navigation, and referrals. Another thing a CHW standalone provider can do is health promotion and health education. So if you want to do a stress workshop, or you want to do a financial health workshop, or I heard mechanic, I love like innovative things because I'm very creative. So like if you did a little mechanic for stress relief, like fix your car so you don't have to pay $1 million. I don't know, whatever the health promotion is, we will help you promote it. We'll make you a flyer. We'll put it in our newsletter. We'll put it in our social media, and we'll try to get people to go to your thing. Because as long as you talk about it reducing stress or increasing health, we think it's health promotion and health education, and we will help you bill for it and get paid for it. You get paid as a CHW health promoter or health educator with an individual or a small group. You get paid a different rate for each amount of people. So it's a bigger group, more money you get paid. Smaller group, less money you get paid. 2 people count as a group. 1 person is individual, you still get paid. Okay. What are some examples? Outreach calls, benefit education, appointment reminders, find help referrals. So if an LCM asks you for help, if a clinical consultant asks you for help as a community health worker, and it's for healthcare access, let's say. So if the client is enrolled in therapy and we found out that she just got kicked out of her house, but she's not Medi-Cal, she doesn't qualify for ECM, we could still do the Medi-Cal standalone if some of the kids do. Right? So we get creative here. 3 of your kids got Medi-Cal? What you need? You need a mom's group? Anybody got some moms who want to have a little group? Like this is how we have to collaborate and make it work. Okay, so that's why I made this to hopefully be as clear for you, again, to reference, so you don't have to remember everything, okay? Can CHW refer to community supports? You're gonna learn a little bit more about what community supports and why we put big X's there like that. Because community supports is the thing that people actually want when they say yes to us. So we send out calls and we be like, hey, would you want to do ECM? And they'll be like, why would I do it? Well, now you get eligible for us helping you to coordinate transportation to your doctor's appointments, your court visits, work, if it helps your health, all that. You got a car? No, I got a car. Do you want this? Do you also like, how's your housing? How's your food? Do you have problems? Are you ever worried that you don't have enough money for food after 2 days? And then sometimes people don't want to say yes, but when you tell them, well, we can give you medically tailored meals for 12 weeks where you get full blown meals, warm meals that you just heat up for free because we referred you to that, then they say yes. So often then there's also transitional housing support for 6 months. They'll pay your rent for 6 months. They'll give you a $7,500 housing deposit. They'll assign you a housing navigator. If if you are looking for a house and you're, kind of moving around from your friend's house, couch and stuff, that counts as home housing insecurity. So then it qualifies you for the community supports and the housing trio, which is a health benefit. You get that $7,500. You get that housing navigator who helps you do your application, who they'll pay that fee for Craigslist, or they have to pay fees to look for rentals. They'll do all that for you. That is a community supports benefit. You have to first be enrolled in ECM to get community supports. And there's a big gap in that. People don't understand that. They just want the house. Give me the housing. You didn't do your comprehensive assessment and care plan and all the onboarding to become a part of ECM to get that. So that's a huge gap in our community, and our CHWs are going to have to help us fill that educational gap. When CHW triggers ECM, when the CHW sees that the person is unhoused, is pregnant, has a medical fragile thing with their kids, substance abuse issue, overutilizing the systems, but they weren't on the MIF list, the CHW can trigger that we self-refer them into ECM. So this is just important for the CHW who is doing standalone work before the ECM referral to know. Okay, any questions before we move into ECM?
I think your point is important about incorporating the families. That's something that I've learned in working with you is we'll be staffing a case and it'll be like a mom with 5 kids, but the mom is the identified client. But then all 5 of the kids can be clients as well, and then you're servicing the whole family, and maybe there's needs that they can be kids that couldn't be solely met through the mom.
And actually, that mom you're talking about, the identified client was a child. And I found out the mom needed services by calling the mom directly myself. And I was like, yo, there's a kid here who I see I have an intake, but they're trying to discharge you. Did you want to be discharged? She's like, no, I've been waiting. I got all my 5 other kids I sent too. So we didn't even know as an internal system that all the kids were her kids because they all had different last names. So I had to put it together. And then I said, you need a Bever. You need to do an intake packet for us too. And then I got her enrolled. So that's how we got her enrolled. But it was the client who was the minor client, age 12, who was the initial client, that because she wasn't responsive to phone calls, we were going to discharge her if I wouldn't have called. And the only reason I called is I noticed it was a little black boy and he had done 1 assessment. I was like, nobody ever saw him after this. So I just was doing an audit. And I found that family from an audit, me as the leader, so it falls between the cracks, this piece, but it's very important. And thank you for uplifting that. Next slide. Now this is ECM. ECM comes from a referral. They must have been referred by the MCP. That's it. Or we must have referred them in. If we did not refer them in and they accepted it, keyword, they accepted it, okay, then you cannot start seeing these clients. ECM is a very restrictive program. I think it's done on purpose to be that restrictive so they don't get those housing supports and food that you see all that is. So I'm trying to make it more clear, less blinds in front of it all. So you can see that, yes, they come from a list on the insurance companies, but the insurance company does nothing to help us. The people know we coming. They give them to us on a list and then they say, go and contact these people and start them in ECM. And we call them, they're like, who are you? And, oh, why would Anthem send you to me? Anthem or Health Net or Kaiser, I think in my opinion, should send them a letter and say, you refer to this program, here's your provider. I've been very much advocating for that happening, but it's not. So what that means is these people are on Medi-Cal and they're assigned to TPF. Like, so they're already our clients. They have been assigned to us. They can't be seen by another ECM provider once they are assigned to us. Okay, that's important to note because people poach clients from ECM providers, especially when clients don't really know what they're receiving or who they're working. Remember I told you they don't even remember you even though you sat there with them for 2 hours? ECM is very much impacted by that. So if you're a community health worker who is helping us to enroll people from the MIF list, it's important that you do practices that help them remember who you are and understand what ECM is when they say yes to enrollment so that they can understand what these next steps are. You need to be enrolled and do your comprehensive assessment and care plan to be able to get these extra benefits like housing and food and recuperative care and rehabilitation. There's so many, I think there's 14 service lines in community sports, and they're all real actionable things like beds. If you need a bed for actually just getting out of the hospital, that's why I think youth services. If you have extra rooms available, if any of you guys have housing, having a contract with community supports to be an extra bed when somebody just got out of a hospital is a huge opportunity for you. It's a community support, and they could not have enrolled in being in your bed without being an ECM first. So that's our thing we gotta fill. Yeah, follow me? They must meet one or more of the ECM populations of focus. So you don't have to have 2, but at least 1. And the one population of focus we've been kind of getting away with is the experiencing serious mental illness, because I'm kind of like figuring that we all traumatized by the world ever since 2019. So we are collectively having a trauma event. Therefore, they're eligible. That's what I be saying. Like they should be. But also, if we ask them, do you kind of jump from your friends' houses, or you staying with a friend? You with your boyfriend, you hate him, but you live with him because you can't go nowhere else. Like, to me, that's housing insecurity. Like, I will make that as the reason. Like, you still with that man because of what? Okay, you qualify for ECM.
That through the girlfriend that he was staying with, and I talked to the kid about it, like, well, he's not homeless because he's living with his girlfriend. And then the kid said, well, he's just one fight away from being homeless. He can't.
One fight. One fight, you cheating. We gonna live though. You still did, you know? Justice involved or transitioning from institutional care. Now, we don't really have the justice involved population of focus, but I can add it pretty easily. I didn't add it as one of my contracted populations of focus initially because I feel like focusing on children and youth and mental health is enough. Like to also, because I didn't really have a lot of relationships with prisons or law enforcement. In fact, I'd be like, if I see Popo, I'll walk the other way, even if I didn't do nothing. So, you know, I grew up in the IE. I ain't gonna have no conversations, you know. So that wasn't me, but that doesn't mean I can't add it if you guys want to do that. So I'm always open to negotiation of what populations we should add to our contract, but these are the ones I do have contracts for. Mhm. All right, any questions?
What is IED?
High ED. So high ED means that they keep going into like, you know, Canyon Ridge. What are those ones you get locked up, 5150s?
Emotionally disturbed.
Yeah, emotionally disturbed, but it's like they're highly using it and the medical system can tell they're highly using it. So that's how they made it on our list. A lot of people made it on our MIF list because they're high utilizers of crisis intervention in mental health services. Like they don't go to a regular therapist. They just keep getting in trouble and locked up somewhere or put somewhere on like care court type stuff. I think that's where the ED.
Is that because they don't know how to navigate, or they haven't had the help to navigate the proper, program to get in? You know, that's why they keep going to IED, because that's all they know how to do. So
Can I just say the world is horrible? And I think that some of us can cope and some of us can't. Some of us have resilience and resources and family and support, and some of us don't. So the people, I don't think it's an individual thing. I truly think it's systemic, it's subjective, it's objective, it's all the things. So yes and no. Can I answer?
Yeah.
Yes and no? Mhm.
I remember correctly for high utilization, one of the things that also qualify are to the point of crisis centers, one of the factors about is high utilization of emergency rooms and emergency services. A lot of times they're coming in and out of the hospitals, and sometimes, you know, I'll ask you to catch them as they come out of the emergency room. This is a heavy cost in the hospital, but if we have more preventative or like case management, it would reduce that like economic burden on the hospital system also.
And Johnny knows, he does our data, so that's real. All right, next slide. Oh, go ahead.
Just for the, by provider, why are you talking about like a medical provider or a research provider? Like, the internal referral initiated by the provider,
Uh-huh.
that means like medical,
That's you.
oh, that's.
You are all the providers. Remember when I did my play therapy definition, mental health practitioner? Once you have an MPI, what are you? Yes, you are. Look at y'all. Y'all got MPIs, I think. Oh, congratulations. Because that, you know what that means? Your MPI is owned by you, not the organization you work for. This means that if you get authority in this and expertise in this, you just go find yourself a little DBA. And now you got a whole business model that you can do because you are a community health worker and you can bill Medi-Cal for being a community health worker as a healthcare provider. Okay? This is freedom. MPI is a freedom. My license was my freedom. My MPI associated with my license, which I'm not eligible for without my license, is my freedom to be able to build these programs. If you do not take authority over your own MPI, you let people use it willy-nilly, you don't know what it is, that's you. I'm trying to help you. All right. Program summary of ECM. ECM is required for high-touch care coordination. So if they don't enroll in the ECM and they say the CHW standalone benefit, that's it. You only got 12 sessions. Even if they really need you, that's when you start having them hard targeted conversations. Let me know if you need my help with boundary setting and redirection. There's other trainings I do. But essentially, if it becomes really high touch as a standalone, it is not the standalone and you need to refer out for therapy. People need therapy. If they're using you like that, you just a community health worker practitioner, that is not right. You have to have boundaries. That is not your role. They're gonna only trust you. Don't fall into that trap. They don't only trust you. They only trust you right now because you're giving them something. They trust somebody else tomorrow because they're gonna give them something else. Don't fall into the ego. People love the healers when you're helping them. ECM is designed for members with complex medical, behavioral health, and social needs, frequent emergency or hospital use, chronic conditions, pregnant, newly parenting. We have a particular focus on birth equity here. I have been a leader in the AIM. I don't know if a lot of you know the AIM initiative. I was the founding community lead of the San Gabriel Valley AIM initiative. And then further, our organization got funded through the Black Equity Collective and the AIM Village Fund. So we are one of the primary leaders in helping Black mamas and children to empower their wellness. And that's also one of the primary missions of the Black Mental Health Task Force, Black Mamas and Babies. We do also help other ethnic groups, but I happen to be a Black mama who had a Black baby. So this is from my lens. But if there are any providers who are Latino, Asian, Pacific Islander, any type of population that want to work in birth equity, we welcome you and all your ideas and all your groups, because I can only do what I can do in my lane, and I'm open to helping you create your lane. Yes. Housing instability and homelessness and significant barriers to accessing care. So if you know a lot of people who just can't do nothing and can't get to nothing and they always can't do nothing, that's the person for ECM. You know, they always got an excuse, put them in ECM. Because ECM at its base level is routine development. Cognitive behavioral therapy from a case management perspective, which is why I think it needs to have a clinician at the top. Most ECM programs don't have a clinician at the top. They have a dietitian or a nutritionist who's signing off on things. But how that gonna work, I don't know. PCM enrollments activate coordinated whole person care. So let me give you a little bit of a history in the framework of lovely Mary and Sylvia, who started our South LA journey. But whole person care used to be run by Department of Mental Health. Department of Mental Health lost the contract, I want to say in 2022 to the state, and the state reallocated whole person care to privatize it with insurance companies. Therefore, CalAIM was developed. Now specialty mental health is buried in your health insurance benefits. I don't know if it's a win or a lose. It's a lose if nobody gets a contract with the MCPs to do really good work. So we really are on the front line. I really have to say, we are the generals. I'm the general, I would say, on the front line. I'm in front. I got a horse. Right? There's a flame. I might have wings and a dragon. Okay, so let's imagine. And then you guys are here. You got your shields. You got all your things. Maybe some of y'all are on horses and generals too. I hope. If you identify individual. All I'm saying is all the money for specialty mental health for people who were suffering in foster care and group homes, they disbanded public, non-public schools. Everything's disappearing for our people. When I say our people, I mean our people who suffer, our children in foster care, the ones they locked up in the non-public schools anyway. I watched all them kids be sent away. I was pissed off. That's why I got in here. I was like, what's that? What'd you say? You gonna pay for case management? Because in behavioral health billing, you cannot bill for case management. So every time I was going to IEP for a family, I was doing a parent consult with these moms. I was talking to the grandma. I was outside with this person. I was having meals with them for 5 hours. That was a 5-hour session that I done had. I got paid 30 minutes. Thank you very much. But that family needed it and they trusted me. And when it was time for them to get treatment, they did it. And I was willing to do it, which is why I had to start a nonprofit, because everything was for free. Okay. But this is the difference, right? CalAIM is only funded until December of 2026. 27? 27. 27. Johnny, you know better.
I think 26, it's currently under, the new potential bill is under review at the state level to go federal and come back to states. In a lot of ways, that just means there's no guarantee. The current state of ECM is through 2026, I believe, with 2027 being the prospective new cycle of how they're going to implement it.
And if a Fed attempt to win, then 2020.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So long story short, let me summarize this. If we do not share our impact story of what we're about to do here today, because nobody else is doing this, okay? If we do not share our social impact and have data and the ability to tell the story of why this was successful and how people benefited and felt better and decreased maladaptive health outcomes and things like that, then when they have all those votes at the state, whether this waiver should be renewed. So the December 26th is the end of the waiver that's current to pay for what we're talking about through health insurance and everything. If the waiver is not continued, then who knows what's going to happen, because specialty mental health is no longer with DMH. It seems to me that our current administration, we're going to call it that, doesn't care if we don't have the healthcare resources we need. It doesn't care if the state actually has funding for Medicare and Medi-Cal. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the reason why I'm giving these visuals of the front line, the dragon and the horse and all that, is because we are literally there. You know, this is the new advocacy work, the quiet, not the marching on their paperwork and their money. Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is the Department of Health doesn't have the wherewithal to access all these benefits. Now it's up to the community to let everybody else know, hey, you got these benefits available to you. Let me show you how to access them. Is that?
Yes, I'm trying to tell you that they decimated systems and departments. There is no more Department of Education. Department of Mental Health lost the authority to manage specialty mental health, and they privatized it and gave it to their insurance company friends. And their insurance company friends do not want to pay for anything. And they're letting everybody not do the work of this because they're ready for it to fail. They got enough money to do it for 3 years.
So we need to be essential, so
Yeah.
when 12/26 comes, they understand how critical we are to our community.
Thank you for this. All right. Any questions? All right, next slide. Here's a quick reference for ECM. And again, we're gonna give you these. More questions, you can always do the Post-its. Like Paulette said, you can email us later. We are around. So what is ECM? Whole Person High Touch Care Coordination. It used to be called Whole Person Care when it was Department of Mental Health. Anybody new? Anybody ever did Whole Person Care? Worked in Whole Person Care? Don't know, sound familiar? Go research it. Because it was a whole thing. Lots of funding, just gone. Medi-Cal members, meaning ECM populations of focus, means that it's somebody who's a high utilizer or chronic condition, unstable. ECM is not just for a normal person who's going through a little bit of adjustment, a transition in life, some crisis. It's somebody who's had a long-term evidence of that, and that would make them eligible, okay? They usually come from a MIF list, internal referral, like I mentioned, or a community encounter. You do need an enrollment form, so you cannot start being an ECM without doing the enrollment form and signing the paperwork. And then immediately after you do the ECM form, we have 45 days after enrollment to do a comprehensive assessment. And a comprehensive assessment is just basically a gathering of the client's information. When was your last dentist appointment? Do you go to the doctor? You have any crises? Are you mentally unwell? Are you physically unwell? Your kids okay? You got childcare? All the questions, all the things. When was your last this? And are you pregnant? Did you go to OGBYN? Blah, blah, blah. Like all the things medically, and there's a form that you complete and follow. Then after the comprehensive assessment is a care plan. And the care plan is not a treatment plan like a therapy treatment plan. It's a care plan where the LCM and the client work together to come up with a goal. And the goal is, what's my primary problem right now? So if your primary problem is housing, most likely your treatment plan goals, you can have more than one, you can have 1 to 3 goals, right? Your treatment plan goal will be most likely like, I will be referred to a housing navigator or meet with my housing navigator once a month for the next 6 months. And that's a goal because you as the LCM have to help make sure they meet with their housing navigator. It's not you. It might be an external housing navigator to who you referred them to, and it might be somebody on our team, but it wouldn't be the same person as the LCM because the LCM can't be playing the housing navigator and the CHW and the therapist. That's what we be trying to do, but that's not going to work. It's going to kill us, like the individual, right? So we have to make sure we make up our support squads that when you have a caseload of clients that are heavily housing, that you have a good relationship with a housing navigator, whether it's one of somebody on your internal team or somebody externally that you're referring to, which is why it took so much effort to find organizations like yours that do have relationships with housing people, because you're going to need it. People are unhoused right now. And one more thing, the measurement, we're going to talk about measurement-based care, but we use Blueprint Health, as I mentioned, and it's really helpful because it's an app on people's phones and it tracks steps, it tracks sleep, it tracks diet, it tracks depression, anxiety symptoms, eating disorder, any kind of assessment that the clinician or the LCM assigned to them based on what they told us will help track digitally, and we could see graphics of it, of whether they're getting better, whether they're getting worse. And that's how we're going to tell a good story in December 2026, because we got data from measurement-based care that's clinical and sound, and we're using an evidence-based model in our approach. Okay. We would like you to do 3 to 6 touches per month as an LCM, 1 minimum, right? So let's say you got a client that's just don't respond to nothing. But as long as you at least called them, sent them a newsletter. We also ask our LCMs to draft a monthly newsletter, like with their picture, and be like, hey, I'm gonna have a walking group tomorrow, and send that out to their caseload every month to see if they will come and engage, or whatever type of group you want to have, what you're really good at and like that you wouldn't mind doing with a group of people. That's what kind of group you probably should do as a LCM. And then if those people come to that group, that counts as one of your touch points. So if you only require one touch point a month and you have this one group that they always show up at, then you've done your touch point and you get paid your one-time payment per month, but at least touching them once. But we would recommend 3 to 6 because ECM clients generally need more than one. Because when you talk to them one time, even if you talk to them for 5 minutes, that counts as one. These are not sessions, by the way. You do not have to sit there for an hour with people for a touch point. If you called that person, that was a touch point. You did it. I called the client answered, I reminded them about their appointment, touch point, do a note. You'll get paid your one-time payment per month. But some clients need more than that. I have a client, we're not gonna say the name, but he is the most needy client in the world. I have almost somehow become his therapist / case manager over everybody else because he has a lot of combative, very angry behaviors. Even if you're helping him, he's like threatening. And when he does it to me, I'll be like, you know, you ain't talking to me like that. And I keep going. But we mostly do this engagement in email. And every email I download as a PDF and make a note. So I think I have about 50 notes to add for the past 2 months that I'm kind of behind on. So if a person is emailing you, it also counts. You could download the PDF and add it as a note. Okay. Required for that also counts for standalone too, by the way. So email correspondence counts as a touch point. Written correspondence, in-person correspondence, calls, text. Okay, text also count. Screenshot, take a picture, upload it, send a text to this client. It's a note. Can client decline ECM? Yes. So if they're already in ECM and they said yes, and they're tired of you asking all the questions on the comp assessment, they say don't want to be it, they could say no on the day they said no, because all in between they said yes and no, you about to build. Yes, because you did work.
Yes.
If you do not do notes between the yes and the let go of me, then you did all that work for free. Okay, so please remember that. Next slide. Now, this is more detail about community supports. CPF is a community supports provider, as I mentioned, for Kaiser, but we are still in the beginning of that phase. We have not really been trained by Kaiser on how to give people housing deposits. I heard that I have to give you the $7,500 out of my pocket and then get reimbursed. And I was like, what if there was like 10 of them? I was like, at what? Like 75,000? Like I just have to find it? I don't know. So, so let's just pause. So I like to say I'll refer out to that because that sounds a little weird, but I do think that's what the MCPs are doing. And I don't understand how that's possible, right? Like, I don't know. That seems a little weird, but I'll keep informing you as I learn. But in the end, if they are enrolled in ECM with us, we can refer to any community supports that already does have the contract. So that feels a little bit like freedom to me. I'm okay with not having community supports, honestly, because it sounds like a lot of responsibility. Have a house with rooms, and like count that they come in, or I don't know, there's a lot. So if you are interested in getting more involved with me, collaborating with me in a leadership capacity to increase our contracts and our holding in the community supports lane, let me know. But right now we're going to focus on CHW and the ECM and referring out to community supports providers. And the way we refer out to community supports providers is through a system called Find Help, which it'll just be like, who do you want to refer the client to? Housing, food. And you just check a box and it sends it to them digitally. And then the person we send it to should reach out to the client, but the LCM has to be the one to make sure that the person we referred them to did or help them. Yeah, help them continue the process. So that's where the LCM is still important, even when we refer it out. Okay. A client may be eligible for CS if they are actively enrolled in ECM. You're not eligible for CS if not also ECM. That's just the rule. You can't skip ECM basically. You can concurrently be enrolled in healthcare access, community support, and ECM, but no standalone benefit. Because why? ECM is always connected to CS. You can't have CS without ECM. All right. They all need to do a comp assessment and a care plan. They need to meet specific eligibility, meaning they have to still have Medi-Cal. So a lot of people are like leaving Medi-Cal by not doing their paperwork. And I think it's on purpose by the state also, or are these people like, I really think systems do weird stuff like, here's all your services, but let's pretend you don't really know about them and hide it from you as much as possible. So I kind of think that's what's happening here. But it's up to us to kind of fill those gaps. Okay, and you was nodding. You seem to know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's happening with Medi-Cal right now for undocumented people. So if you know people that are undocumented, where I live, the Medi-Cal provider is flagging them so that like if they come to us, we see that their renewal is gonna come due. Because if they don't renew, they can never re-enroll in Medi-Cal, only if they are pregnant or have an emergency.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like they don't let them try
Over
again?
At 19. So if they are a minor, if they're 18 and under, and they're in their Medi-Cal lapses, it will allow them to re-enroll. But at 19, on, through the lifespan. once
They'll
you
never be able to
re-enroll,
get it again.
Never.
So do you hear why it's so important for our CHWs to know this? To say this kind of stuff? It's really important. Thank you for that context. Yeah, they getting cray out here. They're basically, if they're doing this to people, they're taking all these options out for them. None of this resource is there anymore if they don't do their paperwork to re-enroll in Medi-Cal. That's horrible. They know these people are like living transient lifestyles, no computers sometimes. To do that is cruel. Next slide, please. So no ECM enrollment equals no community supports. I keep saying, I put it on every slide because I feel like people just be like, well, can I just do? No, you cannot. Even if a client is homeless, if they do not have Medi-Cal and are also enrolled in ECM, they cannot get housing deposits, housing navigators, food boxes, all the things on the list. Okay, they can't get none of it. Community supports cannot be requested until ECM enrollment is active. I said it in like 5 different ways. But anyway, here's all the different supports you get as community supports as a part of your medical benefits. Any questions about these? Let me let you look at them. So rehabilitation. So does somebody want to do like I keep wanting people to do it, but I'm gonna put it out here. Like if you have an idea for this and you want to do it, it's yours like immediately. Rehabilitation. I would love like an after school program for kids that's like yoga or art. As long as it's like a set amount of hours, I want to say like 3 hours period, it's a rehab program. So we can create that and build that out more. Where is there short-term post-hospitalization housing? If you have a room that can accommodate somebody who just had surgery, then you can do that as a community supports. Or if you know people who do these things and we can help them get contracts so that we have places to refer people to. Right now, there's not a lot of people to refer. I'd be sitting there referring people to these things and those people never reach out because I think even though they have contracts, they're not ready to service.
My daughter she can do that. She's a Pilates instructor and yoga instructor, and she has a whole wellness program that can, actually, she has a program already created for schools.
Yeah. So yes, that's why I facilitate this and I let you guys know that I'm truly a partner, but you have to be real, you have to be intentional, and you have to be willing to understand that I'm a business owner and you're a business owner and this is a collaboration and paperwork will be signed and things like that. But if you down, I'm down. Next slide. Quick reference for CS, health-related social services that address housing, nutrition, recovery, and stability. Again, on every slide, I think I'm just like really trying to, it's like like some kind of, I'm going to convince you. What is not possible?
Stand alone.
Yeah. All that. I like the engagement. Enrollment required, yes. Enrollment in ECM is required, but also referrals first have to happen to do CS. So just because like LCM says, oh, you could have housing, they can't have promised that without also doing the referral and find help and documenting it in the care plan and comprehensive assessment. Because if we don't have a comprehensive assessment and a care plan, community supports won't be approved. So after we do the referral, the community support is going to ask for the comp assessment and the care plan so they could start. Because remember, we referred to them so they could start the housing or start the rehab, right? Or the after school program, whatever we're doing. but only if we have the documentation to prove that it was medically necessary. And that's what the comp assessment and the care plan proved, that we did some type of assessment to say that they need all these healthcare benefits for housing. Because otherwise we would just send them to the housing department. What are they called? Yeah, like they would do it, but because this is healthcare related, this is why we do it. Next slide. Now, this is healthcare access. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it. I've already, but this is my lane. Like, I love therapy. I love therapeutic intervention. I love people healing, but people can't heal when they're in immediate crisis and are unhoused and worried about their child or their safety or somebody dragging them and their neighbor down the street, killing us, shooting us in the head. All that is not possible without mental health stabilization and the resource being provided. That's why I think CalAIM and healthcare access are concurrent. They cannot exist outside of each other. If you do not have a solid way to stabilize somebody's mental health while they're also waiting for housing and also waiting for food, then you're just not doing it right, in my opinion. So they're embedded. And if we don't have enough therapists on the team, that's fine, because we have enough therapists out there. There's interns, there's a whole bunch of private practices. There's everybody who think they know therapy, who are a coach or a life coach, or I do this. Refer them to that and let them talk to them. But the whole point is that you made the referral and you made sure they went, and that they're getting that safe space, that ventilation, that processing, and they're not doing it to you, because your little 5-minute, 10-minute check-in is all it's supposed to be. If it's becoming an hour, 2 hours, what you doing? Maybe not even therapy. What you doing? Too much. That's the correct answer. Whoever said that. Next slide.
Next slide.
This is just another more detailed summary of the way I view our healthcare access program. So if you were going to take this, because I'm empowering you. This is just what I'm trying to give my lessons of my understanding of how we want ECM and our behavioral health programming and our medical programming to move forward. But I will say that if you see healthcare access as our program, I invite you to think about healthcare access as a pathway for your organizations as well, for behavioral health and medical, whether it's internally something that you build or you create healthcare access pathways for referrals. That's going to be really important, because otherwise you're going to be overburdened by that piece if it's not concurrently existing like it's existing in ours. And we learned that lesson the hard way. I'm tired. Next slide. We have something called a comprehensive wellness exam. Has anybody heard of a multidisciplinary team meeting? Sounds familiar? So generally in the clinical landscape, MDT is when like a social worker from DCFS, maybe from the housing authority, maybe the school social worker, maybe the foster youth social worker, they all have a fun meeting. Usually it's called because, yeah, intervention, or maybe it's called because a successful thing is about to happen, about to be adopted, you go back to your parents, you're gonna go to auntie, we have to talk about this plan. So our CWE MDT is a consistent weekly meeting that we call client care meeting. The LCMs who are seeing clients for us, it's mandatory for them to attend a client care meeting. This is because you are sort of in a silo, especially if you're a hybrid lead care manager, meaning that you're working from home. And then if you're coming to us as a lead care manager in person, it's probably just to like do direct client contact or outreach. So there's no time for you to like consult about anything. And so you're going to have to need time to be like, this person called me every day crying, and all their assessments say this, this, and this. And you deserve the opportunity to get a case presentation just like therapists do. So in the therapist world, our clinicians should have group supervision. And in that group supervision, at the beginning of every group supervision, we allow case presentation about a client, and then everybody in the room, the other clinicians, give feedback about ideas they have for treatment. The person will usually review their history, their intake, what has happened so far, what goals have you been working on, what has worked, what hasn't, and then everybody on the team gives feedback. That is our model for clinicians as well as case managers. So that's why LCMs have to go, because you have to be able to raise your hand and be like, I got 3 clients that are driving me crazy. I don't think they should be on my caseload. I think we need a higher level of care and bring in a therapist to be their case manager for the next few months. And we will do that. That's the point of the support squad model, is that the clinical consultant can take over case management, the check-ins for a while. If this person is out of pocket, sometimes the skill set of the clinician is needed. We are trained to do this. We are trained to be like, what you say? Is that a boundary I have to make? Did you not sign your intake paperwork? Do you not know that I'm a medical professional and this is per medical necessity? You cannot do that as a CHW. You cannot do that as an LCM. So you need to understand that the reason why we have roles that we have is for the protection of all of us. If we all stay in our lanes, we are safer. Comprehensive wellness exam is also, this is our nurse practitioner. The CWE is particularly related to the medical part of our component. If somebody has constant like eye issues, ear issues, sleep issues, things going on that you could see that they're escalating, they're losing their housing constantly because of their mental health, you need to escalate to a CWE. So either a licensed therapist like myself, I'm one of the clinical consultants. I will generally take clients for short-term treatment, particularly children, because I'm the only one with the children's specialty and the play therapy specialty. And then we have Dr. Kennard. She's the medical consultant. Like I mentioned, we have Courtney, who's mostly leading meetings for us from a clinical perspective. And then we have other interns and so on who could act as that clinical oversight to a LCM or a CHW. But it's important for you to know that that CWE is intended to be a document the client can use to get what they need in the medical system. So remember I mentioned the regional center referral. We had an adult, a Medi-Cal client who had been going to all these doctors to try to get diagnosed as ADHD because she knew something was going on with her, but they weren't listening to her. And we gave her assessments. Our doctor identified, we look like you have ADHD. And she was so grateful because she was able to get medication and now she's stable in college. So the thing is, why wasn't they giving her medicine? I don't know. Who knows? But she got her needs met because she was able to get a CWE. And it's just a templated document of a report from a doctor or a licensed therapist about all the recommendations and referrals, and also all of the assessments we gave. We put all the outcomes in there. So it's also evidence-based and backed by measurement. So they can't come back and say, why'd you give her this? Well, all the assessments said she had ADHD. Why didn't you give her this? Did you give her any assessments? And then we start having them looks, you know what I said? We having a conversation? Doctor? They're like, no, we're not having a conversation. Because you wasn't doing no measurement-based care. You wasn't doing no documentation with these people. Why were they your clients? Next slide. So this is my baby. I think healthcare access, we're working on growing that in a couple of years. For now, CalAIM is where we are because CalAIM is where we are. And CalAIM is going to disappear. So I'm putting a lot of energy in this. But I do think to wrap around the community with behavioral health and medical services is really important. So it cannot be only TPF who are the healthcare access providers. We need more partners for referrals for mental health. So if you have any of that, please bring through. Maybe we make more of a resource list of who we refer to. And also we need some of these organizations to be added to Find Help. Find Help is a platform that is free for organizations to register in. So if your organization isn't in there, then guess what people can't do when they refer people to community supports? You can't be referred. Find Help, FINDHELP. There's also Unite Us. It's another closed loop referral system, but they're out there. So you need your organizations registered on them. Next slide. 211. 211 isn't a referral platform like Find Help is, but it will also find you resources that can be covered by insurance. And 211 is also an ECM provider, by the way, but their ECM provision is a little bit different. It's mostly just phone calls. Populations of focus. I kind of went over this a little bit. These are the populations we serve per our contract. So this isn't just a list of people like, we like serving these people. These are actually listed on the contract with this language. So this is who is eligible for ECM. And then down here this is who is eligible for community supports underneath our Kaiser contract, which are not really operating, but it might be coming soon. Okay, Devin, I get a break.
I don't know if I can follow that energy. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
And I do want to just clarify too, the 2026 N for CalAIM doesn't mean that Medi-Cal in this new form is going away. So it's not that we're investing all this time and effort into making sure that individuals get the care and support that they need, so that in 2026 it's not there. It just means that the access to all of our services won't be here to help people navigate this whole thing. So just going to make that clear. So you guys are here right on time, so that way we can do all this together. And the populations of focus, this is kind of interesting because for all of the organizations in this room, these are our clients. So I run a Project Fatherhood program in Long Beach, and all of my clients absolutely meet one of these populations of focus bullets. So the slide is here for you to read. And I also want to just add, we're not gatekeepers at all, because we recognize that individuals need help and they need support, they need care. And if we can make them eligible for that help, support, and care, and find a way to get the revenue coming into your organization so you can keep your lights on and continue to help more individuals, that's what we're going to do. So I'm so excited that Nakia is positioning this, even though the paperwork says that individuals must meet 2 or more things in order for eligibility. What Nakia is saying is, meet one of them and we will help you understand how they can still be eligible for all of the services. Does that make sense? Yep, excellent. Okay. The other thing I do want to just add that I am standing here as a testimony, because I was over exaggerated when I said the first time I met Nakia, she said, I will sue you if you leave. That was the second time. The first time was through JCOD. We were in an alumni network together, and there were 3 or 4 organizations, and we were all on this one Zoom, and we were processing what we're doing. And I explained what my organization does. And my frustration is grant writing. And it's I have to raise at least $600,000 every year, and how frustrating that is. And she was like, "You doing what?" And that same side eye that you. So what are you doing? Like this, you can get paid for this work, and this is exactly how. So I got to subcontract with her for this, and you all have this opportunity now too. So this is absolutely excellent. So the big question here. How do you get these individuals that fall under this population of focus? Who's controlling it? Thank you. All right. So one of them is through a MIF list. That's the member information form.
File.
File. Thank you. And there's also is MIL. Are they still doing MILs? Maybe. Okay, just a MIF list. So each managed care panel has a list of individuals that, as Nakia said earlier, they are not able to get a hold of. So they're giving it to us to get a hold of these individuals on their behalf. We will receive a list of about 100 people every month. Nakia is not exaggerating when she says there's about 7,000 people on that list. There's no way for one organization to reach out to all 7,000 individuals. So I want to make it really clear that there are a number of organizations out there that are recruiting community-based organizations to work under them as a subcontract to provide services with a percentage that gets kicked back to that other entity. They do not have a 7,000 client list MIF at all. This is unique for the Therapeutic Play Foundation. So you will not get this anywhere else. Full Circle is someone that we're working with right now. They don't give you a list of clients for you to go out and recruit, and then you can receive revenue for. You have to generate it yourself. So this is a unique opportunity that Nakia can provide, because she has all of these individuals right now that need to be outreached to. So this is an automatic source of potential revenue for you right off the bat. Does that make sense? Are you following me? Okay, perfect.
And by the way, that 7,000, it used to be 10,000. We got it down, but it was a glitch from God. But Anthem called it a glitch. We gave you all these clients on accident. We can't take them away. You can't take them away. Why? Because they already assigned you. I was like, but they mine? So that's why I built all this, because they're mine. I'm responsible for them. You're going to give me time to build the system to serve them? And they said yes. And Anthem has been a really good partner, but it was a glitch, you guys. It wasn't like, it was a glitch in like some technology.
Yeah, we'll take it. We will take it. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so when there are individuals on the list, there is an outreach requirement. So you're required to make 5 attempts in order to get these individuals from the list into being your clients. This is the fastest or the fast track way of an individual being able to receive ECM services and then after that receive community supports. So if the MCP already identifies them as being ECM eligible and gives you this list, they're already our clients. And then the key is sharing that list with you. They are now your clients to outreach to. So you get paid for those outreach attempts. And the way that payment works is different for each managed care panel. And that gets reviewed in your individual contracts. Does that make sense? You're good? Excellent. Okay. All right. Next slide. So that's one way. It's through the managed care panel sending you a list directly. The other way, which I'm going to tell you just from experience, is more successful, is from community-based referrals, meaning you. So you're all community-based organizations, and you all network with other community-based organizations. When you're reaching out to a client who was referred to you by yourself, how much more likely are they to pick up the phone or to fill out a form or to answer questions, right?
More
If
likely.
someone, right, if someone calls, thank you for answering. It was not rhetorical, by the way. This is participatory, so y'all speak up. So let me phrase it this. Let's say you have Kaiser and you don't like the doctor, you don't like Kaiser, you don't like the idea of people calling you, you only have it because you just want to avoid this tax, whatever, if you don't have insurance coverage. Someone not Kaiser calls you and they say, I'm from the Therapeutic Play Foundation, and you don't think you need therapy, you don't play, and you don't know what a foundation is. How would you respond? Tell the truth. Click, right? Like, you got a closet? Hang this up. Click. Like, we're not talking. I don't know. So you're a bill collector, essentially. Like, no one is answering that call. And that is hard, right? So that myth list is not a guarantee that people who are on that list are going to actually pick up when you call. And it doesn't mean that you're doing something. That's just the reality of it. And that's why if the insurances or the MCPs were to notify people in advance, that would make things so much better. But they don't, because they don't want them involved in the first place. That's a whole other story. Okay, that might not have gotten recorded, sorry. Now, for the community-based referral, however, you have someone that's coming to your organization for housing, or they're coming to your organization for clinical case management. They're already trusting you, and you say, we want to extend the services that we're providing you through enhanced care management. Please fill out this form. Right, you already know where this is going to go. So just truthfully, the community-based internal referrals are going to be the most common way that you have an ECM client. There is a caveat. That client has to become eligible and then approved by the managed care panel. So that's another step. If someone comes from the myth list and they pick up the phone and say, yes, I'm interested, they're in. If someone comes from internal community-based organization network referral from your own team or others, they have to then go through the process to essentially become someone on the myth list to then go in. Does that make sense? So it's an extra step. So it takes a little bit longer. So we're usually looking at about 7 days roughly before someone that's been referred to you with all their documentation paperwork submitted before we can actually get them enrolled. There's going to be a lot of time. And that's why we're really fortunate that you all are providing all of these services right now through contracts or for free, because they're at least getting something while we're waiting for the process to follow through. How does that sound? Making sense so far? Yeah. Even though everyone you serve would fall under one of those populations of focus, it doesn't mean that everyone you serve will become an ECM client, meaning the MCP may not approve that person for ECM. So that's a heads up. Part of the issue is because of the insurance that they have. So it's really important to make sure that all of your clients are using the right Medi-Cal, one of the ones that we as Therapeutic Play Foundation accept. How many of you guys know LA Care? Have you heard of that as an MCP? Yeah. I think it's one of the largest ones, right? I think HealthNet is the other one that's probably about the same size. Actually, I know for LA Care is the largest in the nation. Random fact I had to do yesterday. So they have something like 9,000 staff members. Wrap your head around that. We don't accept LA Care right now. So if you have a client who has LA Care, unfortunately, they would have to switch to one of the other MCPs that we do work with. Does that make sense? When I started this one, my first thought was, oh, I have 200 people. I'm going to put all of them in ECM. Oh, not all 200 have the right insurances. And as a result, we weren't able to enroll them all.
What would be a benefit?
what would be the benefit for that? For them to change from one provider to the next?
Well, then they would be able to access ECM. So ECM, the enhanced care management that we're describing, and also the community supports that come with it. Those are the things that they can get if they are with the insurance, one of the insurances that we currently work with.
The idea being that they're already underutilizing their benefits
Exactly.
already, so it's not like they have to switch doctors necessarily. Or is that what you're doing, President?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Another example would be that they have general Medi-Cal. So the general Medi-Cal is not connected with any of the MCPs, and as a result, they would not be eligible for any of the ECM services.
You're meaning specifically for them to contract with Therapeutic Play Foundation, because LA Care also has ECM. All Medi-Cal panels have ECM, but if you say like if your client pool is primarily LA Care, then you wouldn't necessarily be able to do direct referral because they have LA Care, which is not contracted with Therapeutic Play Foundation. But if they wanted to access ECM, they can still do it just through LA Care and their partners.
Okay.
Yes, but I will just add to that. There are ECM providers, and then there are ECM providers. So the vast majority of ECM providers are checking off boxes. So there are individuals that have all of these insurance benefits, but it doesn't mean anything tangible on paper. So that's not a reality for us here. So this is one of the reasons why I'm saying that, yeah, they might be eligible, they may be able to be connected to an ECM provider, but what is that going to look like? What is the quality there? And are they actually going to get their needs met? So there's a term, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's a food as medicine. The idea that if you create a nutritious, balanced meal for someone, that is just as effective as prescribing medicine. The same concept with this. So all of the different supports or help that someone needs in order to be stabilized, so that way they can then go about, living fully and wholly and experiencing wellness and supporting their children and their families. That's essentially medicine, right? It's just not in pill form. So we don't want to send people to a pharmacist who's not reputable, right? Like, I mean, come on, I'm all about a deal, but I'm very cautious about where I'm getting my medicine from. As tempting as it is to go to Canada, but that's another story. So we don't want to refer people just to anybody ECM. So we have control here. We know what the quality looks like here. As a result, yes, we would love for them to be able to work with an insurance that we accept while we work on handling with more. Does it make sense?
And we have someone
Yes.
who helps them to change it over, or?
Yes, that is a really good question. So what we normally do when there's individuals that are providing or operating as a lead care manager, one of the things we teach is how to communicate with the right insurance ombudsman. I'm not sure if that's the right term for it, but every MCP has individuals that are available to help walk through the process of selecting a new insurance. So our LCMs are the ones that would do that work with them.
Also, we have a partnership with HealthNet, and Anthem comes out, and like Baby to Baby comes out at our resource fairs. So usually HealthNet is there on site and could actually be the one to help them change over. Also, when open enrollment comes, that's when they can change. And I would say the primary person who does that is the CHW, because they have to go out there and help them change it and stuff, right? Because we only accept what we accept, even though they want to work with us. If they keep LA Care, because they want to keep their doctors, they're going to have to go to whoever LA Care has an ECM provider with. Did that answer your question?
It did, yeah. I know you said you wish that that they had received kind of notice that this is something they're eligible for, but have you guys already tried like sending letters? And has that been effective?
We send a letter like once a month to the MIFLIS people as well as active clients that said yes. Like it says, we have a resource fair this month. We have this, and that. And sometimes when we send out the letter, and we send out email newsletters, like we are like inundated in people's lives, but I think they're seeing it and they're reading it. But I don't think it is as engaging as we would love it to be. But a lot of people we send letters to will call back like the next day and try to enroll if they need it. If they don't need it and they're in crisis, they're not. They just got another letter. They barely opened.
Small percentage of the rate of response.
There is. We have seen a definite after a mail out day, people call us the next day and say, do I have a case manager? Things that when we're calling them, they're ignoring us because they got the letter, they will call us.
And it still would be so much better if there was also a letter that came from their actual insurance. provider.
Yes, but they're not, and that's one of the advocacy points.
Oh, I don't think we can use the managed care panel insurance's logos and likeness on material, can we?
Yeah, our letters say your insurance company Anthem. We don't put Anthem's logo on it. We put Anthem and Health Net or whoever gave us authority logo on the resource fair because they gave us money for the resource fair. But we don't put their logo on a letter from us. So like if you send out a letter to your clients, you wouldn't put our logo either. You put your logo and say, as a client, TPF has referred you to us as your housing navigator will be your letter. So it would be on your logo, on your letterhead and things and say, our partner Therapeutic Play Foundation has referred you to us for ECM. Yeah, my partner. We're your partner. And Anthem is our partner. So they refer to us as provider, but they let us send letters and we would let you send letters with that respect.
Yeah, great question though. Thank you. Any other ideas as you're going about this and you're realizing that there might be some nuances or changes or adjustments that work and work for the individuals that you're reaching out to, then share it with us and with the whole network. So the whole concept of this right now is to bring together a lot of brain power so that way we can figure out how to support our community. So thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Anyone?
Because we were still on you. Go ahead.
So. Great. Are you collaborating with other providers here? There's your marketing for them. So enjoy that AI. That can set up the campaign for you to be able to pass along those meetings, if you will, to other members. So that it's more collaborative, or is everything going around? See?
TPF.
Yeah.
I think everything right now is being run through TPF because you guys are my very first subcontracted partner providers. It's our very first launch. But I'm open to collaboration on that. We are not a heavily marketing organization. You know, we do have social media. We do have a newsletter. And we do have the resource fair. That's kind of the extent of our, right? Did I leave anything out? Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's what we got. And then everything else is just, we're on the ground doing it. You know, I'm not even really submitting a marketing budget, but I'd definitely be open to talking about that if you have ideas. Sound good?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
On the point about being creative about how you reach out to people. Just so quick thing, because on the, let's say they're on the Memphis from the MC Credit, so they're eligible. Between everything that TPF has tried, right? Between phone calls, mail outs, and even visiting them in person, the in-person visits had the best response, even if it was a no. Because there's the thing of, you go to 100 people, 50 of them will tell you yes or no. You enrolled or you didn't enroll. You call 100 of them, you might get 2 responses that tell you either yes or like who is this? Then that means you have to call the other 98 another 4 times, 3 times. However many times the call is up to the maximum of 5. And so the mail out is also happy medium where we do a mail out, we get back a lot more responses than phone calls. Not as much as in person, but it's also not as labor intensive as in person. So we talk about what are creative ways to have internal referrals or reach the community members. That's what we're talking about. Like, there are different ways you can go about it as long as we're contacting them and trying to get a response from them, because that's what really was going to trigger, do we continue with them or not? And it helps reduce the amount of time a person has to reach out to them later down the road. And on the administrative side, it's a lot easier to track 1 or 2 contacts than 5. That spreadsheet gets really fast. And then, but once to note that as the more human contact you can make, and I'm sure you know, as community people in the community, the more successful you tend to be in getting a response, whether it is, it's no, but you get a response at the least.
How much information are on the MIP list for the clients?
Very little. So it's name, address, phone number, maybe an email sometimes, and not always is all that information correct.
And member ID.
I'm assuming that it doesn't cover the homeless population who might have Medi-Cal because there's no address, obviously.
Yeah, well, the address will just be blank.
And usually the address is blank or wrong anyway.
And they go through phones. quite
Very quickly, yes, and the number is wrong as well, yes.
Which is why the MIF list has never been that successful, and
Correct.
the internal referrals has been our primary way to get people to say yes.
It's an interesting dynamic, right? So there is funding available to conduct the outreach. So the outreach is required that you have to do these 5 attempts, and there's 3 different forms of those attempts that you have to make. And after you complete those, then you can move someone off of that list. And in theory, they would put more people on, which isn't always the case. So there's one school of thought, which is I want to make sure that I get through this entire list, so that way I can move individuals that are not responsive off of it, and then kind of treat this as like a mill, right? So there's more people coming through. But what does that mean for the individual, right? So these are real people with real need. So there's the other side of that, which is the care component, and how do we make sure that we're providing them with the services that they really need? And that's why this type 2, in terms of the way that you're getting referrals, is so important. So this is not based off of a myth list that is likely inaccurate. This is based on relationships that have been developed between you and individuals that need the help. Does that make sense? We're describing. So we want to do it all, of course, but ultimately the real goal is to make sure that people are getting care. And that's not common in the world of ECM provision, because in the world of ECM provision, the focus is on money, right? This is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with these ideas of profit before people, co-modification, each person represents a dollar amount. So if we do the bare minimum to make sure we get the maximum amount of money, then we're done. And we can check off the box and we move on to something else. And as a business, am I on paper successful? Yes. But as a healing agency, am I actually doing what I set out to do? And the answer is no.
You have the right heart. I appreciate that.
That'll be wrong.
7,000 people in business, you call it watch lists. And there are ways to do it. You can social media engineer it. So it's just a matter of getting a team of people who can social media engineer it, because everyone has some form of social media. And so your reach out becomes social media, which also builds your,
Listserv.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's actually you're taking an objection and you're turning it into a positive, which is fantastic, because your database is growing even larger because you have a set group of people. And 7,000 is not a lot of people, so you only need 3 or 4 people in social engineering.
Well, it sounds like we having a follow-up meeting.
Did he just say 7,000?
Yeah, and there's not a lot. Okay, let's talk.
Is that Paul? Paul, is that you?
Any of the names of the organizations that are here today to help, minimize that list?
That's why you're here.
Yeah, let
That's
me-
the whole point. Yes, yes. Get off of that thing.
You, how many clients would you like?
You get a client. You get
You get a client. You get it tomorrow if you're ready. So basically, I had to create a training academy because quality matters. Sure, a lot of people come up to me and be like, Nakia, give me something. And I will give you something if you give something to the client. It's a real big issue for you to just take clients from me, but not know how to service them, how to document for your time, not know what a comprehensive assessment is or a care plan is, not know any timelines, not know nothing, but be seeking something for you. We're not here to save your business, your organization, or anything. We are here to form a coalition of equitable, quality healthcare service provision that is whole person care in the intention that whole person care is supposed to be. So if you show me that you were ready for 7,000, so if you really got some strategy, Joy Youth Services got 7,000 clients. and there's no more class for anybody else. You get what I'm saying? Like, it depends on how we do this. What is our plan? Do we bring Joy Youth Services in and we do a pilot test of 200 clients to see how can we outreach to those 200 clients? How many of them actually enroll? How many go in to doing a comprehensive assessment and care plan? How many are referred to community supports? That's data, that's information, that'll inform strategy to move forward to get rid of the rest of the 7,000. Another thing is, it was originally like 10,000. We got it down to this. And it's been hard because when we got the 10,000 people, we were only like a team of like, I don't know, the same team, less, with a lot of free people, interns or temp people. Cause I, you know, when you get a big grant and then they like, here, spend that money in this amount of time. That's how we got here, because we tried to figure out a way. But 7,000 people, the timeline is still 45 days that you have to do a comprehensive assessment from the yes, and 60 days from the yes for the care plan. And then the ECM MIF list, when they give it to you, I think we're supposed to, I don't remember the number right now, from the assignment. They were supposed to, after they gave me those 10,000 people, within 5 days, I was supposed to do by outreach, the first attempt of the 5 attempts, right? So that was impossible for me. And I said, y'all gonna give me some kind of waiver that said that you're not gonna like, what's that called? Ding me or something. So we are way behind because we got this MIF list of all these people in August of 2024. So we've been having it for a long time and we have barely knocked anything out because I refuse to make it just a call thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I needed more brains in the room, because I think I'm so rigid. I'm like, are you actually doing client care? Refer them out. Like, I just don't want people on our caseload that we're not actually doing the work. So that's why we're going slow and steady. But if we have strategies to knock those 7,000 out, that's going to be a super success story to show people that we built a coalition, a plan. We use social media, we use strategy, all the brains, all the smart people. I want to uplift you. And then we want to tell people about you. We want to tell people about what works so they could do it too. So yes, and yes, and yes, and as many clients as you want if you can handle it.
There it is. Next slide. Okay. All right.
Thank you for doing my James Brown dance.
I know
That's
my
all.
getting
That's
more
all.
and more boring.
Whenever I do it, it's James Brown in my head.
Just play the track every time.
Yeah, get on
Play James Brown. Yeah. Okay, so just out of curiosity, can you refer someone for community supports right away?
No.
Why not?
Because you have, first you have to try.
Oh, look, I was just looking for you have to first make sure that they're enrolled in ECM, but so get them into ECM. Go ahead.
You have to get the first of all, you have to see, you get their name
Uh-huh.
and their birthday. And if they're not enrolled, then they stand alone.
Yeah.
Got it. That's right.
If they do have Medi-Cal, then you can do the other part of the intake.
Referral.
Referral. Yeah. So,
Good job.
Yeah, well done. Well, someone paying attention. That's right. So remember, individuals have to be ECM first before they can access community supports. So for individuals, rather they have come to you through the MIF list or from a community referral, they have to first be an ECM client. And then once they're an ECM client, then you can start referring them out for community supports. This is really important here. It's not in the slide, but it's a concept that I know a lot of the leadership here would recognize. There are organizations like Full Circle that go out. Pear Suites is a big one. And they tell people that because you're a community-based organization, you're providing some services in the community, you can get paid for that. All you have to do is sign here on the dotted line, and then you're good to go. No, because the services that you're likely providing will fall under community support. And you can't just give someone a community support and then get paid for it. Those individuals have to be an ECM client first. So that's the part that's left out of the fine print. And that's why there's so many organizations that start contracts with these large umbrella companies and then pull out of them. They realize that this was a big waste of time. And if you think about, again, from a leadership perspective, the amount of programming and staffing that goes into ramping up for this, only to not generate any revenue at all, that is a huge loss of investment. And that takes away from your ability to support your own community. So that's not how we roll here. And that's where we're being honest. So first things first, we need to make sure that individuals are ECM. After they're enrolled in ECM, then the services that you're providing might fall under community support, but I believe there's a caveat there that if someone is your ECM client, then they cannot also be your community support client.
No, you could be both if you're both a community supports and ECM provider, but most people aren't both. Most people are usually ECM or community supports or CHW.
So, and I will say this is one of the important aspects of this collective care model that Nikki is creating, because these are all community-based organizations that already do unique services. Like Dream of Hope has a unique residential program. New Leaf on Life has great case management, and then Joy Youth Services does residential programming for women. Those are all unique services that our community supports in and of themselves. So we can refer ECM clients within our own network of providers. How amazing is that? So that means that we can ensure quality of services across the board. We can communicate very easily. You don't have to go through all that drama of somebody gonna call you back. This is our own network working together to support someone with a whole system of care.
But I will say that even though you are providing a service that looks like community supports, you need a contract
Awesome.
with the MCP to provide that support. So like the recuperative care, which is like the short-term placement after the hospital visit, we would have to try to get you a relationship with the Health Net. We could be your broker. We could try to meet you with our Health Net rep and be like, hey, we want to add this service to our contract. Because honestly, it's really hard to add contracts right now. I'm sorry, healthcare is a closed system and it's all in who you know. So if you guys go out there and try to get a contract right now, you probably won't get it. But if I go and try to get a contract and say, this is my provider, well, you probably will get it. So that's why we have to be strategic and say, this is my partner provider. They have a house, they have these rooms. Can you add this recuperative care and the rehab contract to my agreement? And they will usually add it. It's easier to add a line of service than to get a whole new contract for you. And I gave a pretty fair contract rate. Like you guys are getting most of it. We just need the administrative cost covered of what we're covering. So just keep that in mind as we continue this relationship. And it doesn't have to all happen in a day, but it sounds like it has to happen in a year.
No rush. So, let's say one thing. All right. So this is kind of breaking down what happens with the MIF list. So if someone who is from the MIF list, we have a successful outreach to, then it is straight. We're providing ECM services. We have a lead care manager that's assigned to them. For individuals that come from the community, we have to do the whole process to get them approved by one of the managed care panels or the managed care panel that they're with. And it's not a 100% guarantee, right? This is a battle and advocacy that has to happen. And you don't have to engage in that advocacy. That's something that TPF does. So that's another benefit. And again, the goal is to make sure that we get as many people accepted as possible because we want everyone to access these services. And then once that's done, then you can start providing ECM services for them. Does it make sense? Yeah, because we're perfect. Okay. All right.
So,
Yes.
well, I just read, how our clients heard, and it seems like to me that once the client has been, assessed, the more issues they have, the more they have access to, the services. Based on the members' health risks, utilizing patterns are unmet care needs. So if we get a client that's suffering from multiple mental health issues, that client we refer them to, well, once they've been assessed by a licensed doctor, we refer them. We say this client is in need of this type of service, right?
Yes. So can we back up just a little bit? The scenario that you're providing, if this is a client that's coming to your organization and you're having a conversation with them, you're doing your own intake, and you're recognizing that this person falls under multiple populations of focus or needs, then that just makes that person more likely to be approved.
Right.
And then as you start to list out or identify or uncover all of the additional needs they may have, then you might recognize that they actually need more than just ECM, that they actually need healthcare access. So thank you for transitioning me to the next slide, which is what this is right here. So there are individuals that for a variety of reasons, well, okay, first of all of us benefit from mental health services. So, and then there are individuals that need acute mental health services right away. And for them, those are the ones that we would be referring to healthcare access program. So that same client that you were explaining in your scenario,
Right.
that's what this would be. It would be both ECM and healthcare access.
Okay.
So what does that mean on the ground though for you? In addition to filling out the ECM referral form, you would also have them complete something called the BEVER, which is the Benefits Eligibility Verification. I don't remember the
Request.
request. Thank you. Thank you. The CR is not a form. So I have to say we had a lot of fun with that acronym, but it came out BEVER, which sounds a lot better. But yeah, so there's two different forms they would be completing. Does that make sense? And then Nakia already went over the healthcare access. So this is where the clinical consultants are involved. This is where they're getting the actual therapy and mental health services that they need, in addition to the care coordination services that they get through ECM.
And the healthcare access clients get their own treatment plan that's separate from the care plan that a LCM is the lead on. So the LCM and the client creates the care plan together. And then we kind of follow the clinical model where we have a goal for 6 months at a time. It's just better, you know, to change your goal up. Are you still unhoused after 6 months? Are you still hungry? Have you met this need? Would you like to move into maybe your goal being finding a therapist? That's a LCM type of care goal. Whereas a treatment goal in healthcare access is I will decrease my symptoms of depression from crying every morning to crying only one morning a week. You know, really that is a base level type of therapeutic goal, which a LCM would never do. You know, it's only that you received a service or you have a life transition or change. That's the difference between the care plan and the treatment plan. But you can have both.
I will say that my nephew is actually a success product of our health access program, healthcare access. So we believe on the spectrum, but for some reason it doesn't show up that way in all of the different diagnoses that he's had over time, especially through the schools. And he's now 27, not working, living at home, no relationships. Like it's a whole variety of things that's happening there. And plugging him into TPF, he's now speaking with full sentences. He has new goals for what he wants to do with his life. He's applying for jobs as we speak. It's like it's a total transformation. And it's just incredible for what happens when you're approaching clinical care, healthcare access in a 6-month cycle in the same way that you are with the care coordination, meaning that you're being really intentional and really intensive in short periods of time, and then being able to see progress and growth, and then pivot and make changes accordingly. That's when you see real growth. And speaking from personal, it's kind of
Thank you.
there we go. Okay. So for the healthcare access referrals, I think we've already gone over this.
Yeah, this is just basically a summarizing, you know.
Yeah. So most common meaning like the most direct. So ECM clients get referred for healthcare access. So someone that you're completing the ECM referral form and then you're also completing a healthcare access form. That's most likely what's going to happen. But there may be cases where someone may not qualify for ECM because we can do healthcare access even if they're not ECM.
And usually the way our onboarding works is that when somebody is from the MIF list and they say yes, they immediately are scheduled a client onboarding session. So all of you, the reason why we ask for your email is we're going to give you access to a system where you tell us your availability. So if you're an LCM and you say I'm available on Tuesdays from 1 to 5, we will assume that we can schedule client onboardings with your LCM to get a new client on their caseload, and you would onboard them. But generally what happens at a LCM onboarding is you review their outcomes from their measurement assessments, and you don't review them like a therapist. You review them like a case manager. And the way a case manager reviews outcomes with a client is say, you did these assessments, and when I look at it, I can see that there may be a need for a mental health referral because all the outcomes say high for depression, high for anxiety, and I'm only your case manager, but I can refer you to one of our therapists internally or refer you out. So you use that onboarding to be an entry point to a referral to healthcare access or to an external provider if we don't have enough providers here, which is often the case. We don't have a lot of therapist providers. I'm kind of busy. And I just don't want to be everybody's therapist. And we have some interns, but I'm using my interns very intentionally right now. So it most likely, unless you guys have therapists, will be an external referral out. But the LCM will be the one to identify that, look at the outcomes and say on their goal at that onboarding, the whole goal, the point of the onboarding is to create a care plan goal, to create a plan together. I'm going to be your ongoing LCM. Or sometimes you might just assign staff to just be the onboarding LCM and that's all they do. So let's say they're only available 1 day a week for 4 hours. They could just sit there and do onboardings for us. But there needs to be a LCM that's assigned to keep a caseload. That making sense? So the LCM is really important, but the treatment and the work is a collaborative. And just know that there's a difference between onboarding and ongoing. In fact, I would recommend that if the LCM is onboarding and they have a really good relationship, they could also be the ongoing. But if they didn't like them and the client didn't really have a rapport and they were barely able to get information, you probably wouldn't be the ongoing. You might want to get a LCM with a little bit more knowledge about mental health, like one of our clinical interns who are LCMs, or asking a clinical consultant to do the check-ins for the next 2 months. That's an option. Because if they're mentally unwell, you can't keep aiming LCMs at them. You need to use one of our clinical consultants until they stabilize or get referred to their external program. Is that clear? Okay.
Perfect.
And you're back.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Are there any more questions about the healthcare access? I do want to just point something else out to you. For those of you who are running residential programs, you might know how difficult it is to keep someone in a bed, right? So placing someone, getting them into housing is one thing, but making sure that they keep it is something totally different. And this is where healthcare access is incredibly important because oftentimes there are root sources of trauma that have to be addressed and processed in order for them to be successful in whatever program they're in. So that's where this plays an important role. And this collective is so incredible because we have both providers for housing and providers for mental health. So we can stabilize people wherever they are. Cool.
All right, Devin, good job. Any closing?
Any closing? I think we should take like a 2-minute stretch break, at least stand
Yeah.
your legs or do something.
Take a moment.
I saw some heavy eyelids. I know I'm not that boring, so maybe we need to like wiggle it out a little bit.
Shake it out, stand up.
You can like wobble, something.
Ooh, wobble, wobble. Great job.
Thank you for putting all that.
I think we should have a speaker,
A speaker?
like a portable speaker.
Oh, yeah, we have
You
it.
can take
They just
it.
didn't name in there, no.
Like right now, like.
We have it.
certain kind of
We have everything.
stickers like that.
Hey,
We can't find it.
Great.
Y'all could tell me
Love
you
it.
have it, but I haven't seen it. If you cannot.
I'm
find it,
ready.
I mean,
Trade.
I-
High, even
I'm gonna get more
hybrid
information about it.
technician. The only thing I wanted to do initially was open up my own business and, in the community. I want to take what I learned, not go work for Tesla. But teaching. You spoke on one of the things that I hope to do one day was, therapeutic play. Turn it into some type of service that can help and educate. Move young men into, or expose them to clean tech. You know, Also helping reduce the carbon footprint, because I grew up in Venice. I was exposed to the ocean and I loved growing up in Venice. There was Malibu, there was a marina, there was a rabbit field. I found myself always doing something. We had places to go. You know, I think that helped shape my personality and my me as a man. You know, be able to like provide some of those my ideas. You know, and I look forward to like just working with you and helping and learning from you so that I can take what I know and give it to my kids.
I think that's
That's
fine.
what we're all about. If we don't take care of ourselves, nobody's gonna take care of us. I like that you advocate. I see that you're a gorilla when it comes to, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Have a seat.
I really look forward to working with you. Just, collaborating with you. Helping me turn my idea, what I've learned into like a therapy, also at the same time, educating people. How to buy vehicle, what to look for, how to reset, you know, how to, what a kilowatt is, what a kilowatt hour is. You know, I look forward to working with you.
Yeah, we're gonna be strategic on what we call it.
Right, right.
I think so. I think what it is you just have to have buy-in and believe that what you're doing is healthcare. You know, just believe that what you're doing is healthcare, and we have this thing
It
called.
is healthcare.
It is. You just have to believe that
Right.
and present it in that way. And we have something called a group development form. So if you have an idea about your group, you put it on there, tell us what your idea is, and if we approve it, that's what you can do for a community health worker outreach.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
We only have a little bit more. There's like croissants and sodas on the back, but I only have one soda a day. Where's mine?
You were talking about I forget what context we were in, where people could do groups, conduct groups of meetings and stuff. And I was looking at some of the services that we provide, where we're talking about substance abuse might be one of them. If I wanted to do like a group on recovery, on substance abuse, somebody, would that be something that would be covered by what we wanted to do?
So all you would have to do is you have to submit your idea. We have something called a group development form. And if we approve it, then it's something you can offer. We'll make a flyer for you. We'll help promote it. And then you could have it, are you Dream Live Hope? Or you Joy? What is?
I'm with New Leaf, yes.
But they share here, right? So you can have it here. Tell me what day and time, give me a little description of it, we'll approve it. And then you could have it consistently recurring, and there's an activity code that we can build for. But they have to be enrolled in ECM, or it has to be, it could also be that standalone benefit. So even if they're not yet enrolled, you can do that. They just have to have Medi-Cal. So you have to identify your audience.
I worked for a company called Victory Starts Now that did I did groups, facilitated groups for the mentally incompetent to stand trial. And I would have to do groups on how court works and all the different various aspects of going all the way through court from the beginning, how to work with your attorney, how to act in court, what a trial is, all of these other kinds of things. And it just came to me that it appeared that everybody in the community needs to be having awareness of that, or at least our kind of client base who may have legal problems and other things like that might might benefit from something like that. So could that be that kind of idea I would be able to float as well?
As long as you say that it's support, managing stress and support, you know.
That really would help manage stress, because that's one of the most stress-related things you would go through, is that there are people that just,
As long as you tie in on your group development form, how you doing that education about support and engaging in that way decreases maladaptive health outcomes or helps reduce stigma or helps them be healthier in some way. I'll help you fine tune it. So the whole point of the group development form is I hear your idea and then I fine tune it until it becomes billable. That's the whole point.
I understand. You're doing so great.
Thank you. Feel my best.
Really.
Appreciate you. Happy you're here.
I am
Do it. Do that. Do that.
Like, I'm such a fingers, like, perfect, I know.
That would be on like a like a music cover and a mic.
Don't worry, I'm the same way, I'll keep it being.
I love her for that, right?
I just do my best.
Got the rest of the alphabet, she's like, whatever.
No, it wasn't, I told you, did I tell you that I was very extremely anxious and avoidant of any public speaking? I would cancel everything as recently as like 2020. I wouldn't, anybody asked me to do trainings, I was always scared. I would say no. I would cancel the same day of it because I was anxious about it. No, I think there was just like something happened. I don't know.
What do you think?
Well, when I realized I was canceling things and anxious about things, I do these weird challenges to myself. So like this year, my birthday challenge was I had to join a burlesque and a salsa team, and I performed on stage at a burlesque club. Yes, but also like it was also very like stressful for me because I don't like it. So I tend to like throw myself in the fire. Yeah. So when I realized I was so anxious like that, but I knew I couldn't continue building my business without like the confidence, I started just taking any speaking engagement, and I just did it even if I didn't get paid. And then eventually I was doing it so much that it was like nothing. So now I don't even like yeah. I still get nervous sometimes.
I see that face, I know that face, that's my face.
No need though.
Come on, let's start getting back to our seats, please.
You know what, though? Number one thing that helped me is that they don't care. They don't remember anything I'll say. They don't care and they won't remember. And if I messed up, they only remember because I told them I messed up. So you'll never hear me say I messed up because they won't remember I messed up. Yeah, don't do that.
This one is still a little slow too, I think. Oh. This one. Really? Oh, Smith Criminal, of course. You know, as loud as it can be, right?
How was the day? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Getting back to their feet, got someone through me.
I forgot that I had this training and I forgot that I had to come get you. It was a lot. That $5?
Oh, that's crazy. That's a great fun fact ever. That, right?
Like, but where'd you get money to sell candy if you don't like, how'd you sell candy when it's free?
I got that.
How much money?
So I need some kind of deadline.
Okay, did you hear my baby? So,
And so it was
proud mama moment. Miss Mom, I was like, why you not home? He said, I went to 7-Eleven and I got I said, "With that $5 I gave you, you had your debit card?" He said, "No, I sold some candy and made some money." And I said, "What?" And I was like, "What candy tell me more?" So apparently his friend partner, his friend brought the candy. We went to grocery shopping the other day. And I was like, "Why you got this big ass bottle of chamoy, like, or something else?" Apparently he took it to school and he sold it and he made money to be able to have food today. So that I'm a proud mama. Proud mama. Don't get in trouble at school. But anyway, I think that's a very smart thing. I just thought you really liked enjoy.
May have been.
Really? No, I just saw it. Oh, you mean here? No, we have a speaker at our house. We do. I just saw it. I saw it very recently. Oh, we need to do better. When you actually start going to work on a regular basis and stuff, we got to finish the inventory.
They think it's in the shed.
And it's in the shed. Or on the side of the shed.
Have to do to dig it out of the shed.
You have to look at the inventory to see if they listed where it is. You might want to procure Shelley, who knows where everything is.
Who does?
Shelley.
Oh, Shelley will know where the speaker is.
Shelley knows where everything is. Shelley was our outreach program manager. Shelley's she's the one who started the inventory, did the inventory. And it was only after she left that I tried to hire another outreach program manager who really she tried to organize things, but we don't know what that woman was doing. It was very hard.
It's my goal to find a speaker before St. Bridget on Wednesday afternoon.
We have speakers. We have those mics that have automatic speakers on the waist.
You mean like a microphone, like I
Yeah,
talk to the people?
Yeah, like it'll be in your ear and it's that your thing. But I don't know why you guys don't use the resources we buy. Why don't you bring the mics? No, not this one. I'm talking about even the research fair. Like I feel like we don't really I buy a lot of things to make things easier, but the team doesn't use it unless I say, "Did you?" Like I have to.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I'm being a troublemaker right now, but I really believe in the power of music. And especially
Well,
things that we're doing.
Well, I think you have to get involved in the flows meetings and stuff because Ivana is not that person. She's operations. So because there's nobody truly with the events lens like I do, it's being lost and it's nobody's fault. It's just we didn't have anybody. Yes, we are providers for therapeutic. We are subcontracted providers through New Leaf on Life for Therapeutic Play Foundation. Yeah, because that's their organization. Well, they could say, you could add it, or you could just say this directly, because they technically, but we don't call and say, "Hi, we're Anthem." So, you know what I mean? Because even though the clients are from Anthem, we're called from Therapeutic Play Foundation. You have been referred by your MCP Anthem. So they could say, we're calling from New Leaf on Life. You have been referred by your ECM provider, TPF, for outreach. Are you ready to engage? So, they could use that.
Oh,
You can
yeah,
use
I was
it
gonna
direct.
start talking.
Because they work for us. But they also could claim they could also claim they click.
All right, let's start. Restart.
You're on East Coast.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hello again, everyone. Yes. Wonderful phrase, much needed. I know there's a lot of content to go through.
He sold it all. I mean, like they're done.
So with that, let's
Rich
continue
man.
on knowing our onboarding flow. So our support squad is filled with such amazing roles. So that includes admin, colleges, outreach, and LCMs. For our admin portion, we actually have medical virtual assistants. They actually help us coordinate some of the care for the clients. So that includes like scheduling onboarding. For healthcare access, they help do benefit eligibility checks to make sure that we accept their insurance company. And then they also help do QHIO review. QHIO is Qualified Health Information Organization. So we actually are partnered with Lanes, or we have access to Lanes and Point Quick Care. Basically, those two platforms are ways for us to look at the medical history of our clients. So medical history includes any hospital visits that they've had, their last PCP appointment, and even like services that they use for like transportation. That would be all listed in those platforms. And then we also have our clinical consultants. So with the clinical standpoint, the clinical consultants help with finalizing and reviewing their comprehensive assessments and care plans, so that we can provide quality care and great clinical feedback. So the call agents, as we mentioned before, there are a lot of outreach calls that we have to do with those 7,000 clients. And so the medical virtual assistants, or I'm just going to start saying VAs, the CHWs and LCMs can make those inbound and outbound calls, and we actually use an auto dialer. So to go through a huge list of people, sometimes we like put them all in like a huge list, and then we put it into the system, and then the medical VAs, the CHWs and LCMs, they can sit at their computer, and then it goes through all the numbers until someone picks up, and then you're just able to talk to the client. And that's how we do part of our outreach. And then using the calling system as well, our LCMs can reach out to their clients that way. So not everyone's going to use their personal phones. So this is like a wonderful way to have that. And it's like the number that they are calling from is actually the TPF number. So it's really easy for the client to identify what the number will be when the LCM is calling. And then the other thing that the call agents do when we talk to the client, let's say they say yes to ECM services, the call agents, they're able to send the ECM enrollment form so that the client has to fill out before they do an onboarding, right? And they also send out the Blueprint Health Diagnostic. It's that platform that Nakia mentioned earlier that's able to track like any type of like diagnostic, like it does diagnostic screenings and assessments. So we have a better understanding of like what the client is going through. All right. And then we also have like in terms of outreach, our main like person for outreach are our lovely CHWs. So CHWs provide community support and resources. So not only do they do the calls, but they're also out there in the field, making connections, building rapport, and getting those people and being the representative of our support squad when they're out in community and to engage with the clients. They also help assist the lead care managers in onboarding clients. And they help like just with setting up and breaking down wellness labs. Our wellness labs, I like to think, are like our health education groups. So they are very involved in the event, in like, being a part of the event, and also like just building relationships with the clients as well. And then our lovely LCMs, the LCMs, they're like Nakia was mentioning, there are onboarding and ongoing. So as a little review, like the onboarding LCM, when they onboard the client, they have to fulfill the comprehensive assessment and in collaboration with the CHW and the medical VAs as needed. And then they're under the oversight of the clinical consultant. So that kind of brings us back to how the clinical consultant reviews the comprehensive assessments and the creation of the care plan. So yes, with the LCMs are a very important role as they are the ones to follow up with the clients, and like they are the ones to help with those referrals and building that connection. I think especially with those check-ins, the 3 to 6 times a month, it's so important to just keep engaging. Although it's a minimum of 1 time a month, the 3 to 6 really helps a lot, especially if like clients are high needs, even if they're not responsive. We know from like diagnostic screeners, we know from their ECM enrollment form, their comprehensive assessment, we know that they have so many needs in their lives. So just being able to continue that follow-up is super important. Next slide, please. All right. I know this is a lot, but it's basically what we have been talking about. So over there.
Just
with the-
summarized in short.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to read it.
So as you guys know, we do those 5 outreach attempts from the myth list. And then we also do the outreach by call agent or in-person assignment, as I mentioned. As Johnny said earlier, in-person assignment, it's just having that face-to-face with the client has given us so much success in like being able to be of service and to be connected. And then we have our internal and community pathway referrals. So each MCP does referrals a little differently. A lot of them like to use their provider portal. Some of them have to use different forms. But that's something that you will learn along the way. And every time those referrals are being done, every time there's outreach being done, any kind of connection with the client, we must document. And documenting is so important. If you didn't document, it didn't happen.
That's right.
Next slide, please. All right, so our 5 outreach attempts, we keep saying the 5, but we do have a little bit of a system here. So our first attempt, we like to do a lot of quality checks first in terms of the client's information, contact information. So as we mentioned earlier, some of our clients are in the homeless population. Sometimes they don't have a phone number, no address. Sometimes they just have their PCP, and that kind of helps a little bit too. So being able to see their member ID and their insurance plan, we are able to go through those QHIOs to see any updated information. Additionally, if we're able to see their PCP, we can call their PCP and ask for that information too. Obviously, sometimes there has to be like a release of information to the PCP so that we just need the client's consent to be able to get that information as well. So yeah, so when that first attempt kind of like prepares us for the calling and the mail, it just having the most up-to-date information is just so important for us to be able to purchase the client.
And just a real quick, just to be clear about that, she's saying that going to log into the system, which is Point Click Care and Lanes, that's our QHIO. It's a system that was developed by the state for all of the healthcare organizations to talk to each other electronically. So when we log in and we search that client's name, we can see their dentist appointment records, we can see their doctor appointment records if they're in the system. So technically, if we found them in that system and there's information being updated by their doctors, we can have like all their history for like 20 years if it's been entered in there. And that makes it so much easier to do your comprehensive assessment. But sometimes people don't have information in the QHIO in Lanes or Point Click Care. And then you have to call the PCP, which is primary care provider, which is the doctor. And you can't just call the primary care provider, be like, what's up? You have to have a release of information because there's HIPAA. So you can ask our medical VAs to request a release of information be filled out. You don't have to handle that. We have administrative support for you, but you do have to request it.
Exactly. You guys have any questions about that?
So are you saying that the action of trying to verify the information qualifies as your first attempt?
Mhm. So document. So if you logged into Lanes or Point Click Care and the client's information was in there, download everything that was in there and put it in our chart. You know, it becomes like a information gatherer for us. And then also if you see a PCP's number, send the release of information to them, and that's all a contact. So that should be documented, even if you didn't call the client.
Yeah, because you're making those efforts for the client, right? Qualified Health Information Organization. QHIO. Yeah.
And there's only a couple of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then it's okay. For the second attempt, that is basically our first direct call with the client, and that's using our auto dialer. We use a platform called Five9. I'll get into that a little bit more in the next slide. And then for the third attempt, we either do email or call if we're able to get their email. And then if we're not, then we could do the call with that most recent information that you have gathered. And then after that, we do a mail attempt once a month. So basically we have like a mail out day. And then this mail out day is for that letter that we talked about earlier, informing of the client that they are eligible for ECM services with us and they can call us at any time. And then our last attempt is our in-person door knocking attempt. So with that, with the list of clients that we reached out to for that month, we map out a route for our CHWs or LCMs. And then throughout the day, you just go door to door with our flyers, with our upcoming events. And then that's how we were able to do that face-to-face contact. And we've seen, like Johnny said earlier, we've seen higher success with that attempt. All right.
And then also all the attempts could be calls.
Except for Anthem.
The only one is the fifth attempt has to be an attempt in person if you tried 4 times. So I'm just saying all the 4 times could have been phone calls, but we're the ones who plugged in that the first one is the review because we used to do phone call first, but all the numbers were always wrong. It was just such a waste of time. So we put that first review first as a first attempt because sometimes that first attempt gets you the right number, the email, all kind of information. So you only need 1 more attempt and not 5, you know? So there's strategy here. So this is a heavy recommendation, but just know that all the attempts could be not even any of this. But if it's Anthem, if it got to the 5th point, the 5th time has to go to their door. Because you can't just keep calling and they ain't answering and leaving voicemails. It's, you know, Anthem won't accept that. But the rest of the insurance companies accepts a phone, text, email, whatever it was 5 times. And once you do 5 and they don't answer, that counts as being done. And now you can disenroll. The one thing about ECM outreach, you only get paid for 1-time outreach. So even though there's 5 attempts, you get paid for when you finish the 5 attempts, that there's an outcome. Hope that makes sense. So if you went to the first one and you found the PCP, that's a contact, but that's not a yes or a no to ECM, right? That's just I found the right email, I found the doctor, I sent a release. But when you call that and they answered and they said, no, I don't want your services, you got to know. And now you get the one-time payment. And the one-time payment difference is different across MCPs. So like it might be like 150, I think is like one of the rates. So after you get the no, then you do the documentation for every outreach you did gets paid after the no or after the yes. The first attempt doesn't get paid at all. Am I making sense? Until the yes or the no. Once you get the no, you get the one-time payment. Now they're not anywhere. And maybe you could just do the CHW standalone as needed. But if they say yes, then you get the one-time payment and then now you're entitled to the ongoing case management money. Okay.
Yes.
I told you it was weird and restrictive. You know, it's not a happy program for the paperwork people.
Yeah, you have to document.
You have to.
Like on our EHR system, we have like statuses, right? They pay, like the MCPs pay attention to those statuses because you can only get paid if they enrolled, if they declined, or if they finish all 5 outreach attempts, which is excluded.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We just couldn't get to them, so now they're excluded and you get.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our auto dialer system called Five9, like I mentioned earlier. So the person behind the computer receiving the call, we call them a call agent. I know you guys are all CHWs, LCMs, but I guess during the auto dialing, you're a call agent. And that's what's going to say on the platform once you guys get access to all that stuff. Yeah, so basically when you first log in, well, in the back end of things, admin's going to put the list into the auto dialing system, and then the team will log into Five9, and then we have to turn on the campaign. So the campaign is going to have all of those numbers on a list. And then during that time, we just have to wait, and then just hopefully somebody answers the phone. And then during that time, whoever doesn't answer, it goes straight to our automated voicemail. You will hear Johnny's voice actually in English and Spanish. But yeah, so at the end of the call, you're able to write notes about like how the call worked out. If you got any information from the client, if they declined, accepted, etc. And then you're able to use those notes and use what you got to document into the EHR, or what we use Exum. Yeah. There's just etiquette when it comes to being on a call, so make sure you're in a quiet space. You're ready when you're on the call, because once you put you're ready, it's just going to keep running. And then anyone can pop up at any time. It'll give you a little beep, but you have to be ready. And yeah, make sure you use trauma-informed language, which is what you guys are going to learn more of during our training. And then, yeah, and after the shift, you log out and make sure that you are documenting. Document. It is so important to document. And yeah, I think I'm. All right, thank you.
Did you
everyone.
tell them about 5.9 being the auto dialer? It transcribes?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't hear the transcribe.
Oh, the transcribes. Yeah, because like you have to put in the note and then it like, and
Yeah.
that's what you use to make to document. all that
Okay,
stuff.
so basically, long story short, you can upload your list of clients. So let's say we give you 100 clients for the day. We give you things called shift assignments. So if you said to us you were available 1 to 5, let me use that same example for onboarding. The shift assignment would have been shift assignment onboarding for 4 hours. And then one of the CHW assignments might be shift assignment outreach call center,
Mhm.
shift assignment call center. And then in the shift assignment of the work assigned to you is the people that are assigned to you, the clients. You have to put that list into 5.9 and it auto dials for you. And then when they answer, it comes to your phone and you pick up and say, "Hi, I'm Courtney from Therapeutic Play Foundation. You've been enrolled in our ECM program. Are you ready to make an appointment for onboarding?" Right? So the system will record what you said and transcribe it for you. So all you got to do is copy it and put it in a note. You don't even have to type it. It'll tell you exactly what was said.
Yeah, you just have to, there's just a drop down for the result of the call. You use that and then that'll help do that transcription.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Moving on.
That's why I said I didn't hear that part. I just wanted to make it clear that you don't have to write the note. It's in there. Just copy and paste it.
Wow.
All right. So I'm a little interactive, so I have a quick question. Raise your hand if you have ever used an auto dialer. Okay, so I'm seeing some internal hands. I'm ignoring those internal hands. Y'all know about it.
Mhm.
But for everyone else, I have worked in previously in a previous life. I used to work in a collection agency, and I know not great, y'all. It's not great. No, I heard the ooh. But one thing they use is an auto dialer. So what happens is you have to really be ready to rock and roll. When you hear that voice, you have to be ready to speak, because how many people right now hang up if you don't hear a hello really quickly? Raise your hand. Come on, I want to see the hands.
I do.
Okay, I think we all do.
Very,
So we
very
have to
immediately.
understand what
They
we're
wait too
dealing with
long.
and the sense of urgency when it comes to being able to be interactive and being a real human. Because once again, how many people hang up on robots? Raise your hand. Okay, I just want to see. I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy. So what we've done, we have standardized the script. Now, you don't have to follow this script exactly. However, I would recommend that you study this script, make sure that you understand what little tweaks or changes that you may want to make as an organization. You can say that you're calling from Therapeutic Play Foundation. You can also say, I'm calling on, from your company on behalf of Therapeutic Play Foundation. But you want to make sure that you're able to get some of this information and also use this time to standardize your data collection. So at this point in time, you have the ability, if you're speaking to someone, to collect all of the data you will need to do your internal documentation. And please document in real time. We don't want to get behind. That's one of those things where the auto dialer keeps going. So you want to make sure in real time you are documenting what information you are getting and also remaining professional and standardized throughout the interactions. So we're not going to necessarily just read over it because we're able to see what this looks like. You're going to be calling using your client's name. Please identify yourself and where you're calling from. We want to make sure that we're leaving voicemails if possible. So that also counts as that attempt, and it's also the documentation we need to then bill for our attempts. So we want to make sure that we are doing this. And so we have a few different standardized greetings from phone, email, as well as in person. If you want to go to the next one, we will see that we now have the email outreach. So this is one that you can also standardize when you're sending out. You don't have to be creative every time. You can use a pretty standard message, reach your clients and document what you need to document, and then move into your next form of either placement or moving them into the appropriate services. And so same rules apply. You're going to say where you're calling from. You're going to explain that you're here to help activate your health benefits, and their insurance has assigned you to their case. Do you have any questions about what we see?
Also, the last slide real quick, if it's phone outreach and we're not sure what the email is, if you got them on the phone, just confirm their email, please, because email is so valuable for the newsletter. If they have social media, like you talked about and all that, like there's some kind of collection of information that is super important once you actually get them.
Okay. All right, so this is the email script. You want to also put, and it's required, this is the required written outreach. So you're using this to hit all of your bases. And then going to the next one, you'll see the last one is going to be our in-person. So this is in-person outreach. This is also very important. We want to standardize those interactions. And we want to make sure, I know this is a small little tip. If we're doing phone outreach as well as in person, try your best to smile. People can hear a smile over the phone and they respond really well in person. So you want to make sure that you are coming off non-threatening, you're just providing that information, but you're doing it in a really respectful manner and that they respond well to you. And so this is your script in person, but you'll see as you practice this on the auto dialer, you're almost saying this robotically and you're saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm here for. And is there any way that I can help support you? And once again, you're just looking for that yes or that no so that you can document it. But you want to make sure that you have documented every attempt so that when you close the file out, it's complete and we don't get any rejections based on any missing data. And go to the last one, just really quickly. All righty, so this is active client supplemental outreach. So this is monthly wellness check-ins. So these are a little different. So these are same script, but this is a little bit more regular. This is more your regular interactions. So some of the keynotes, the LCMs must complete or coordinate support squads and servicing clients with 3 to 6 check-ins per month. So this is where you're going to be looking at to continuously check in with your clients. Any questions about this? This is the easy part. So this is something, feel free to also be creative and add anything that makes you feel most comfortable with interacting with your clients.
Yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, the wellness labs, AKA groups. So if you have innovative ideas about things that people might want to go to, and if they're on your MIF list, I would say, hey, send emails to people on your client list that you've been assigned to outreach to and say, I'm having this event. We're having a resource fair. I'm going to be at this. Do you want to meet me here and have coffee? Do it, because the whole point is that we're starting to build a relationship with somebody who has needs of us, but they don't even know that they can partake in the services that are offered, because first they need the relationship and the opportunity to listen, right? So please do know that you can host things that invite people even before they get an ECM. That's a standalone. So if you do a health promotion event, here, let's use Dream Live Hope as an example. You guys have a whole space. Do a movie night, do a pop-up or something right there and say, free dental kits, because we have partnerships with dentists. We'll get them to come. Hey, we're gonna have a movie night for kids on Halloween. Dentist set up over there, baby to baby set up there with diapers. And now you got people who want to come for the dentist, the thing, and their childcare because their kids could watch it while they're doing other things. And you got a whole check-in. You got people enrolled. You got people who are already enrolled, right? New people you can enroll and people already enrolled can come. So I do think the wellness labs and the community play dates are the way forward, not just like one-on-one, I know you, you know me, because that's going to exhaust all of us. So please do try to use this. We also added the newsletters as well, where you cultivate a newsletter introducing yourself. Hi, I'm Tammy. I'm one of the LCMs from New Leaf on Life who are partnering with Therapeutic Play Foundation. And, you know, we do this once a month. Please come out to get to know us. It's free. That is an email. If you submit that to them as a newsletter about you, like it's not a newsletter about TPF or New Leaf on Life. It's a I'm your LCM, I'm your assigned LCM. This is what I send out to my caseload every month. This is special for you, my caseload. If you cultivate that, you'll cultivate participation. And I think it's really important for you to know that. And that's why we call it supplemental, because not everybody has that skill set to be able to build relationships that way through facilitating events, but some of you do. So if that's your wheelhouse, that's what you're going to do. Otherwise, you're just going to be making phone calls, emails, discharge, enrollment. It can get boring.
I guess last little hint, if you do have those events on site, gather all that data. So a great check-in system that we use today allows you to gather all of that required data. So make sure that you're hitting every point and it's making it easy on you, and you're collecting that data on all of the family members as well, because that's going to be very important.
And even on Dream Live Hope's little questionnaire, it was asking some demographic stuff and some safety and risk things. So that's actually a straight up contact right there. Even if they only came here and checked in, that's a note for you to upload, like download that little download. If it's a PDF, does it come as a PDF? I'm not sure. If it comes as a PDF, download that. That's a contact. Good job.
All right, yes, sir.
Even though that seems to imply that it's a 1 month check-in, at the bottom, we say 3 to 6 check-ins a month, right? And so you want to contact them more than just once a month, right? Up to 6 times a month.
Right, and you want to go through that contact attempt metric so that you're hitting them at a different point. So it's calls, it's the emails, as well as check-ins like this.
But every attempt counts, whether
Every
they,
attempt counts.
whether it was successful. So that's why it's 3 to 6.
But we have to document every attempt, guys. We're just gonna stress that every attempt, even if it was not successful, please document.
Mm-hmm.
All
And
right,
also, I want to give you guys a hint that HealthNet, so all of the reason why we say 3 to 6, it's limiting for Anthem and Kaiser, but HealthNet pays per
per interaction.
outreach and there's no limit.
Mm.
So if you get a really high needs client and you talk to them every day,
Mhm. So it's important to bill for every interaction and bill in real time. So you're not like doing it at the end of the month, because that's how things get lost.
That's just if they have help.
if they have HealthNet, unlimited, if they need it per medical necessity. And ECM clients sometimes need it.
Yeah.
But for Anthem and Kaiser, it's 3 to 6 because you only get paid one payment. So it's going to be really hard on your workforce to have like a whole caseload of all those types of clients. And you see in each one 10 to 12, but you only get paid. I feel like the per member per month payment for Anthem is like $300. That's not enough for 12 sessions, but it was enough for an outreach attempt, a contact, you know, a little group real quick. HealthNet is the only one also, every time you do a health promotion event, that's a whole different billable thing. Anthem, if you do a health promotion, it's still that one payment. So be strategic. Do things for HealthNet clients. HealthNet, like I would. Are you a HealthNet client? Would you like to come to a party?
Good idea. Targeted events based on providers, an excellent idea. And actually that might be something that you work into your email outreach. Email just a certain demographic and then invite them to a particular event. So it's an excellent idea. All right, now let's swap out with Ivana to finish this
Great
out.
job. We getting into the nitty gritty and we're not going to go too heavy because we do want to get a chance for you guys to practice logging into some of the things, or even like, if not able to log in today, because some of your accesses aren't activated yet, because some of you are newer MPI providers, which is okay. We'll work on that. But we just want you to know that these are the systems you're going to use and start introducing you to it a little bit. And then you're going to get a self-paced training that's going to explain further, and we'll be around. We promise. We're not going to abandon you.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be here. But we just wanted to show y'all that this is like a centralized place to have like really important links that you can give to your clients. So the first one being Blueprint Health. This is what we mentioned earlier about the measurement-based care diagnostic screener. And then we also have the ECM enrollment form. So when the client says yes, and you guys can send them this form. You could send them the link. You could get their emails and send them the link that way as well. You just need that form completed before onboarding sessions start. And then same with if they want any behavioral health services or anything that we offer for healthcare access, then we have to send them the BEVER, our benefit eligibility verification request form. That's why we've been saying BEVER. It's a long one. So yeah, so this is one way to send in the BEVER. The BEVER asks for any types of information that they might need. So if it would ask for insurance card, ID card, it would also ask for like whatever they need, the type of services they're looking for, et cetera, et cetera.
And usually the blueprint only gets sent out after they do the ECM enrollment form or the BEVER, because we've had in the past where clients were ready to track their health and stuff and their steps and their emotional well-being, but they never enrolled. So we just have like somebody being in crisis in our system all the time, but they're not our clients and we really can't do anything. So be careful with inviting them to Blueprint, because it's an active monitoring progress regression. It's a clinical tool that is, you have to be licensed to use it. And we're only all using it as a team because of my license. So when people have access to it for treatment without oversight, it's uncomfortable. So try not to do that. And just know that the whole point of it is that they have already completed ECM enrollment or the Bever or both before they ever get sent a blueprint assessment. Okay, just keep that in mind. You also can practice, go put your name in. It's an app, it's cool. It tracks your steps, your mood, your lifestyle. You could journal in there. It's really cool as a tool for lifestyle and being healthy and happy. We promise we won't read your outcomes, but at least we'll know who you are. So that if you get high risk, we can help you and be like, do you need EAP? You know? Yeah, but if I saw you were at risk, I would actually call you because I think that's who I am. But I don't know if another provider would be like, girl, you want some soda? I don't know. Like, I feel like we have to have a hangout or something. But people do use it even without being enrolled, but we would rather them not. Yeah. Also, one of the things I do with this is screenshot it and keep it on my phone and I send it to people. So when they want referrals and stuff, like, how do I sign up for that? Instead of trying to go find this slide, screenshot on your phone and leave it on your phone because all those QR codes are active. And also, technically, you know, technology is amazing. Even that link would be active. Yeah, and live. Yeah.
Something that I've been doing to send out our CHWs when they do door knocking, I actually print out this page so that if they want to enroll you, in addition to getting their email, just in case they don't fill out the form, they can scan the QR code. And then same if they want therapy, or any behavioral health services, then they could scan this QR code as well.
We also have traveling iPads. So if you are working an event for us, if we assign you to be a CHW to our resource fair, or sometimes we get invited to conferences or events to table, and then we assign you to table as a representative, as a LCM or a CHW, your purpose there is to enroll people to ECM or CHW standalone. Having this on the iPad and helping the people apply right then and there on the iPad to do the Bever or the ECM enrollment is going to be an important skill set. So just practice. Basically, we're telling you practice so that you know how to do it so you can help your clients do it.
Next slide. So this is basically our onboarding appointment process. So when it comes to onboarding, the client says yes, make sure I like to have that habit of like scheduling right when you're calling and you're in contact with the client. So that's where Google Calendar comes in. We love to use that for scheduling. That's where we're able to put in your meeting link so that you can meet with your client, any notes, and putting in their email and all that information in there so that not only do you have that appointment set for you and you can see it, but the team can see it as well.
And so can the client.
And the client, yes. And so when it comes to filling out appointments, the CHWs and medical VAs can actually help with that as well, if they know the LCM availability. And then prior to LCM onboarding, you have to make sure that ECM enrollment form is filled out, that Blueprint Health Diagnostic Screener is completed. And we always have to make sure that that appointment is still set in stone for you and the client. So please confirm that onboarding appointment with the client via phone call, email, or text. It's just like, it's an appointment. We like to have the habit of reaching out 3 days in advance and then the day before as well, just so that everyone's on the same page. In addition to prior to onboarding, we also like to the LCMs, in addition to CHWs and medical VAs, to really understand the client's chart, reviewing that ECM enrollment form, reviewing anything from the QHIOs, just for you to be prepared for the session, as the client's going to explain more about their life with you. It's just for you to have that better understanding and background of who they are. And then at the LCM onboarding, during the actual appointment, you would review those Blueprint Health Diagnostic Screener results with them. You would review what you found out from those QHIOs as well, just so that you are in that dialogue in understanding their health needs and social needs, etc. So the LCM will also educate the client with any types of programming that TPF has to offer. And it's also a good opportunity, like, not only to build that connection, but to have that connection built with TPF as well. So you guys can always promote like our resource fairs, even for Art Guard, we have diaper distributions at the resource fairs. And so just inviting them to even more resources can actually help with that connection. Yeah, and then after that appointment, the initial onboarding appointment, LCMs are to schedule a follow-up appointment within 7 to 10 days to complete anything else. So the ECM comprehensive assessment, and after the ECM comprehensive assessment is completed, then that's where the care plan building starts. And that's where you go through that care plan with the client as well.
And it could take multiple sessions. Like you don't have to be like, oh my God, I didn't finish the care plan or the comprehensive assessment at the onboarding. The onboarding is more building a relationship, confirming that they actually want to be an ECM and seeing if they need healthcare access referral.
Yeah.
And just seeing if they're safe. And you could even meet the next day or the following day. But the whole goal is to do the comprehensive assessment within 45 days.
Yeah, it's a long one. It's around 4 pages long, but they're very comprehensive assessment. It's a very comprehensive assessment. And then if need be, if you're learning more things about the client that you may think that they'll benefit from healthcare access, then you would contact a clinical consultant so that you guys can get that ball rolling to help them get access to that. All right. And then I
Great
think next
job.
is Dr. P.
Yeah. It might be me
Are you
with
doing-
an assist from Dr. P. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, the clinical consultant is not responsible for the ECM client. The clinical consultant is responsible for my license. And I say this to say that ECM program can't exist without clinical oversight. I had to submit my license, I had to submit my history and everything to be able to get the ECM contract. That's why it's kind of hard to get the ECM contract because you do need a medical provider on the team as oversight. So if you do not have a nurse practitioner, a licensed therapist or somebody, it's hard to get an ECM contract yourself or the standalone because there is no clinical oversight unless you find somebody to subcontract with you as a clinical overseer. So that's the point of this slide, just to let you know that my eye is in the room on purpose because I have to be in the room even when I'm not in the room. And that's why I subcontract to other clinical consultants, because even though my license is the one that's being submitted on the bill, you guys are essentially being supervised by me as the lead clinical person, using my license as the oversight. So no matter who's doing it, that's why an intern can do it. That's why a nurse practitioner can do it, because in the end, their licenses aren't the one, their MPIs aren't the one being submitted anyway, it's mine. And what they're doing is they're operating as if they are me in the review. And what they are doing is called clinical case management. So in our EHR system, you'll notice 2 options: non-clinical case management, clinical case management. You shouldn't even have the option to pick clinical case management if you are logged in as a LCM or a CHW. It will only give you the option to pick non-clinical case management or community health work. LCM could do community health work, is definitely what you can do. But you shouldn't really pick that after the client has already said yes to ECM enrollment, because you are no longer outreaching. If you are doing the community health work note as an LCM, it is because you are probably supporting one of your partner's clients and it's not yours. So let's say Courtney and Sherry were talking, and Sherry got a client just transferred to her, but that person keep coming to you and pretended that you didn't already do a warm handoff. You would be doing a community health work note potentially, not you as a clinician though, because a clinician always is doing clinical case management. You don't even have the option to do the CHW note as a clinician, but this might be the case of an LCM though, that let's say you try to warm handoff and they just refuse the warm handoff, they really liked you, then you were probably doing more a health worker thing and not a case management, because you weren't coordinating for the client, you were helping to outreach and get that warm handoff to that client to take over. So that will be the difference for you. I hope that was clear. But truly, mostly you're picking non-clinical case management once a client says yes to ECM enrollment, unless there's some other weird thing. By the way, you should always pick the LCM one, the clinical, the case management, the non-clinical, because you get more money.
Oh.
More of a reimbursement and better for your business model versus a lot of CHW stuff. Okay. The comprehensive assessment, as I mentioned, is within 45 days that it's due. It must be completed digitally. You might find this form somewhere manually and be like, I did it though, and try to hand it in. I'm gonna act like you handed me an invisible paper. What? What is that? That's pretty. Are we gonna color on it? Do we cut it up and make art? Don't give me that. We have a EHR for a reason because we have audits. And if you did manually create and do your own, I don't know where you found it. Maybe you found a version from Googling because we didn't give it to you. If you did find it and turn it in, I'm not that much of a hard ass. I'll let you scan it as a PDF and upload it. But the problem with that is our digital form requires you to still fill out all the information. So if you did it all manually and you upload it, you just gave yourself some extra work because you still have to go through and answer the questions digitally. So it's not going to save you time. But I want to say there are a lot of learners who need to do it. Like they need to print it out. Because I kind of that person too. They kind of print it out and then you be like with the client and you'll do it then. I would say go ahead and upload that manual one as a further support that I was there in real time. These are my little notes. And then you still have to answer the digital questions. And the system that we built won't let you finish the note until you do it completely. And then it's signed and then we approve it and then it moves forward and then to claim submission. So the comprehensive assessment is its own note in our EHR that helps you finish it all the way through. You sign it, and once it says note is complete, then it's probably ready for claim submission and you're done. It is a billable note just doing that form in there. So you don't have to do nothing extra. So you did the note, you did the comprehensive assessment. Sometimes it takes you like 3 days, 3 meetings, 4 meetings, however long it takes between reviewing the QHIO, the systems, the medical records, getting a release of information to finish that comprehensive assessment. But you can go in there and enter it and save it without submitting so that you can keep going in to complete this form. It doesn't just cancel if you didn't have enough time that session. Just keep doing it, but don't submit until it's complete. Because if you submit when it's complete and we see that it's not complete, we won't approve it to go to be submitted for claims. And you could have done all that work, and because it never got approved, it's just sitting in there. You won't get paid for that time because it didn't go anywhere. You didn't click submit and it didn't get approved because it was incomplete. And we would always email you and be like, we found like 5 notes that were incomplete and not signed because they're just not. We do audits of that. We'll be reaching out to you, but that's also some internal oversight of your leadership to make sure that people are fully completing the comprehensive assessment and signing it and submitting it once it's done. But within 45 days, okay, and you have multiple times to do it. Did I leave anything else out? Anything I'm leaving? Nope, okay.
I'm just seeing the check-ins under that same category of 3 to 6 per month.
Where is it?
Right before the bottom point is annual reassessment required, and then just above that.
Oh yeah, LTM conducts check-ins 3 to 6 per month, so that was the same one. The reason why it's buried under the comprehensive assessment, the whole point of the 3 to 6 check-ins for the first 45 days is to get the comprehensive assessment done. So if your client said yes to ECM on January 26th, you now have 45 days to schedule an onboarding and a couple of check-ins to get that comprehensive assessment done. So the onboarding and then a couple of questions, a review of Point Get Clear, that's already 3. So it's all those 3 to 6 check-ins are in the effort of the comprehensive assessment getting done within the first 45 days. After that comprehensive assessment is done, then you got 3 to 6 touch points at minimum the next month. Because you could take a little breather. Man, I already saw you 3 days. I already started. I got your comprehensive assessment. Let me check out some other clients for a minute, you know? That's what that is, because you could give yourself to one person. You could love like that, you know? Love you. I'll give it all to you and only you, but I would recommend not. For preservation of energy. So this is a gentle suggestion of 3 to 6. You know, it could be 1 to 2. If you don't have a high needs client and you checked in and be like, you good? You need transportation to your doctor's appointment that I see on your schedule? No, I'm good, Kia. I know how to use Motive Care. All right, talk to you later. That was one contact. Okay, I'll schedule our next appointment in February. I'll talk to you in February. That one client got you, you got them, that's enough. Most clients are like that, but there are some who are not like that. And 3 to 6 is a gentle recommendation for your own boundaries. Because once they like you and they know you, it's going to be 12 to 13, 15 to 30. It depends on what you allow. I allow written communication as much as they want. You know why? Why do I let people just email the mess out of me?
Documentation.
What? Because it's all, I don't even have to do nothing. It got a date on it. It got all your problems, all your requests, and then me respond and say, got it. I'm going to refer to your housing navigator. That's all the treatment there. All I go in my progress note, I upload it, sign. This is you setting boundaries for yourself, doing things that work for you. If I did not download the emails, then it was inappropriate. Then I just let people talk to me in email all day. I only email from work emails. I don't give nobody my cell. Don't give nobody your cell. Look, don't give nobody your cell. No matter you like them, use your Google number or something, please, because they gonna call you every day. They gonna find you. But I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about like, there's obviously a system of organization that has to be in place. If you've got many clients and you have to keep track of, did I complete this within 45 days? The annual reassessment date, I mean, that's something to be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Google Calendar is still the best way to keep track of of those kind of dates?
Well, we have an internal audit spreadsheet that we also share with our partners where we allow our LCMs to audit themselves. And we also have a clinical audit spreadsheet where the clinical consultants are responsible for auditing the LCMs underneath their overview. You know, if our clinical consultant and I say, these are your two CHWs or LCMs that I want you to oversee, the clinical consultant is supposed to check to make sure that their LCM did do the comprehensive assessment within the 45 days and they're supposed to review it and approve it. That's their responsibility to approve and review. So there's an internal audit process that we have, but because you guys are your own organizations and your own, you know, you're your own authority, I can only give you gentle suggestions of what I do because I'm a kind of really controlling person. You can kind of tell, like there's like a lot of like power and control containers for safety that exist for me. And when I do not have my power, my control and safety, most people notice it. It sounds different. My tone changes, my looks change, my communication with you change because you getting out of pocket of my container. But that is me, right? So every audit tool that I created was because I need to oversee people in this way. So I can share it and you can use it or you could not use it because I'm not going to micromanage you, but I would recommend you probably should use it because I needed it. So you probably will need it. You know, does that answer?
Yeah.
And let's go into the care plan. Oh, real quick, before we jump into the care plan. Well, maybe it's concurrent with the care plan. So per DHCS requirements, the care plan is due within 60 days. So the care plan is where you identify at least one goal on what you're working on with the client and generally 2 objectives. We generally work with 2 goals. We have an individual goal and a group goal. This is a heavy recommendation. I'm not going to force you, but I think you should follow this because group is helpful. Community connection, village building is helpful. People like to be together and break bread and see eyes and you know what I mean? And see that smile that Philip talked about, right? So the care plan is where you get to identify in real time with the client and say, I am your LCM. For you to be enrolled in ECM, you have to come up with 2 goals, an individual goal for you as an individual, what you want to change about your life, what you want to address that's in crisis, and a group goal to address what's happening for you that's causing you to have relational, interpersonal, workplace, housing issues, because most of those things are relational. Would you agree? So that means an individual and a care group goal applies for a care plan as well as a treatment plan and healthcare access. So I generally make an individual goal and a group goal mandatory for all my treatment providers as a clinical consultant. Now, you might have a clinical consultant over you who doesn't have that same mindset, and they might just let you do one goal or something. Good luck. I hope you don't have me because I'm a hard person to be under as a clinical supervisor because I want it all exactly how it's supposed to be. I want the objectives to be written out. And generally in a care plan and a treatment plan, it's 6 months treatment. That follows most behavioral health treatment models. Most behavioral health treatment models go in a 6-month treatment plan. So we're going to follow that in the case management as well as the healthcare access. And the reason for that is, sure, you can have a goal that's a year long or 2 years, but a lot of stuff changes in 6 months. You know, they could be living somewhere else. They could be in a whole different relationship. So checking in every 6 months gives us a better chance to help them hold themselves accountable for what has changed in their life, what they didn't do. So if you started in January on a care plan goal that said, we'll talk to my housing navigator once a month to stabilize my housing by the end of the 6 months, and you get to the end of the 6 months and they never made any of their appointments for the housing navigator, at 6 months, you have to modify that goal and maybe make it to, I will go to therapy so that I can make better decisions. Right? Because why you not calling that housing navigator? Right? Like, so this is where you get a chance at the 6 months to fine tune indirect conversation. Because I always tell my therapist, like, the onboarding is the only time you got the truth. The intake is the only time that they need something, they want something, they're willing, they're in their action window, their window of willingness. But once they get into your vibe and they get to know you and, oh, she'll let me get away with this, or he'll let me do this, then you lost all the treatment. And the point of this is what? Healing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you let them get away with what they're used to, which is getting away with what they're used to and just getting by with the bare minimum, the survival, I got food today. No, you're supposed to get food, get the food boxes. Did you call this number? Like, there is things that you have to create as a part of the care plan to help them take action. You are not more responsible than them.
Yeah.
Okay, so the timelines help you. And that's the point of the, what do I call that? I can barely see this. The reassessment, you called it? Is that the bottom? Yeah, oh, the annual reassessment. That's because after somebody has been in treatment for a year, they need another intake. Right? Like, they need something. Like, you're going to say, we can't just keep repeating. I will say that ECM is not time limited. It's unlimited. Your clients could stay with you forever. Did you know that? As long as they're on Medi-Cal, there's no kicking out if there's medical necessity. So if 1 6 month period is housing, and then the next 6 month period is food, and then the next 6 month period it's healthcare access or behavioral health, you got this. 3 years, 4 years down the line, you guys got a good relationship. There's definite progress you're tracking. That is, if CalAIM stays around, but hopefully we can.
That's when you can build consistently, right?
What? Which one? The
ECM.
yeah, ECM is the one that you mean yeah, it can't be canceled. Yeah, no limit. That's ECM only. CHW standalone has a limit, 12 sessions a year, right? Community supports actually has no limit either because it's ECM dependent. So as long as they're enrolled in ECM, they can qualify for all these things. Some of those housing deposits and stuff are one time only though. They ain't gonna give you $7,500 again every year. Ari.
What about healthcare access? Do we have any limits?
Limits are per individual, your insurance, whatever your insurance says is what healthcare access is. There is no universal. So if you have a PPO, you could be seen anywhere because people like PPOs. PPOs mean you pay our full rate. There's no limitations. It's per what the therapist says. So if you have a client who has PPO, we like that because we can see that client no matter what. If they're HMO, we have to see per the limits of what their insurance says when we call the verified benefits. I mean, sometimes we don't accept their insurance because you remember our insurance page, we only accept some and some we don't. We don't yet accept LA Care. I'm working on it. I submitted a contract and I'm trying, but not yet.
Question
Mhm.
again, the housing subsidy, is it new or could it be pending housing? Is it new housing or it could be pending housing that they're already in? So just say they have housing in Pembroke.
It's both. So there's a housing sustainability and a housing navigation. If it's pending housing, they get referred to a housing navigator. If it's already that they have housing, but it's at risk for eviction, it's housing sustainability program. And both are two different housing resources through the community supports program. And then housing deposits is the third one. And then transitional rents just came. And they always offer transitional rents training because a lot of people don't understand yet how that's being offered. So if any of you guys are interested in going to those trainings when they're offered, we'll invite you so that you can go as one of our providers. You'll get a TPF email and stuff, so the MCPs won't be like, who are you? Get out of our meeting. It'll allow you, but you can be invited to everything we have access to now that you're one of our partners.
That's a Medi-Cal subsidy, not necessarily a CalAIM subsidy.
It's a CalAIM subsidy. You have to be ECM enrolled and you have to be Medi-Cal. All right, and then care planning, I think I went over it a bit, but I would say that the clinical consultant is the lead on the treatment plan. Totally different profiles. So if your client is an LCM client and a ECM client and a healthcare access, you're gonna see their name twice in the EHR. You have to pick the right profile before you document. So if you pick a healthcare access profile for a client, but you're their LCM, just try to take note of that. Because you're and you won't even be able to do a note for non-clinical case management. It probably won't even show up for you. My system will probably block you out. But you might see in some type of way 2 different profiles. That's the reason. There's an ECM profile and a healthcare access profile if they're enrolled in both with TPF. And that might be confusing, but we'll try to help it be less from a technology point of view. And then the clinical consultant, once they're enrolled in healthcare access, they schedule their own onboarding. And it's different than the LCM onboarding. It's like actually a psychotherapy intake. How was your childhood? Where's your dad? Where's your mom right now? You know, like safety and risk assessment. And then you would make a treatment goal that addresses whatever symptoms are coming up. Also, we use measurement-based care in our healthcare access as well. We use the same blueprint. And then the clinical consultant will use blueprint a little bit more assertively, assigning worksheets. You can also assign worksheets to your client as an LCM. You can assign them worksheets to track their food, their sleep, their pain. That's not clinical. That's just them giving you information and it could be helpful to you. If they actually do a worksheet, what is that? What's that called? Yeah, so actually you could get all the worksheets they did, download it and upload it and be like, this is what my client did today. So it's really easy to get these contacts should you use the tools we give you. Any questions about this page? I'm not going to go through every single one. And again, we're giving you this so you can study it. You can work with your staff on how to know this better. But most of you are not subcontracted for healthcare access, but it is important for you to know what the clinical consultants do after you refer them out. Okay. Next slide, please. That's it. Or is there anything? So I would invite Dr. P because she don't have to know this whole thing. But Dr. P is our overseer of healthcare access and STRTP. And STRTP is going to be a short-term residential treatment program for little girls ages, I think, 10 to 15. And we have a 7-bedroom house. We are currently in the last phases of trying to get finalized for that. And Dr. P has been head of services over that. And I feel like not only healthcare access might refer people into our STRTP, Art Guard might refer kids into our STRTP. Maybe you guys have kids who might be little girls. We're really aiming at Black little girls. Honestly, that's my goal because it's an Art Guard program, arts and gardening, and they're going to live in this lovely house with all this nurturing community. So we would love referrals from that. And so now that Dr. P is going to take over healthcare access and STRTP, she's going to be your point of contact for your ideas and your innovation around that. So I just wanted to give you a chance to speak to that.
I feel like I should get up.
Yeah.
Especially because I done slid down in my chair a little bit.
Yeah, you look comfortable.
Let's see. So one of the things I was thinking about when we were looking at this slide, actually, maybe I'll start there, was goals. One of the things that I've learned over the years is that sometimes coming up with a new goal can be difficult. You know, you're working with a client who's got a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, maybe depression happening, right? Grief is going on, there's all kinds of stuff. And then we're saying, well, let's come up with like a group that you could go to. Like maybe you could go to like a grief or a bereavement group. So it's like new people, new location, right? Like a new thing to add to the routine. And sometimes if you feel some resistance to that, something that can be really helpful is trying to talk a little bit about, well, who have you been sharing your grief with all along, right? Like, well, you know, I used to go over to my neighbor's house because, you know, she lost her husband to 50 years. And so she seems to be able to relate. And then we might say, okay, then the goal that we're going to set is that you make sure that you go over there once a week. Right. And so it's sort of like we're not recreating the wheel. We're just helping them think about things that they already feel comfortable doing that they can make a new commitment to, like a recommitment to. Does that make sense? Because goals can be challenging sometimes because I don't know how you feel, but when I am overburdened with something, right, when I am overwhelmed, and then you say to me, I would like us to come up with 3 brand new goals. I don't want to do that. Right? I feel resistant about that. That's not what I'm interested in at all. But if you make it something for me that's easier, right? You say, well, go get a membership at a new gym and, you know, get out there and do some price comparisons. You've lost me already. But hey, how about if you just put your tennis shoes by your bed? And when you get up every morning, just put your tennis shoes on. We're just gonna do that for 1 week. You don't have to go anywhere. Just put the tennis shoes on, right? So we're just trying to create new habits slowly. I'm more likely to think about agreeing with you if it's something that feels more achievable to me, right? So we might think of calling that micro goals. So just a tip that I wanted to give off this page. In terms of kind of moving forward clinically, I'm really excited about this, because we have the clinical that we learn about in the classroom, right? And so we've got all of our technical orientations and terms and interventions and so forth. But I think the other thing that we bring to all of this is culturally responsive care.
Yes.
This is huge. This is huge. I share with our interns that when I was in school, that was like an elective. It was kind of optional. So you could go all the way through school. You could get a master's degree and a doctorate degree in clinical psychology and never once have talked about the fact that, people are different. And that sometimes the diagnoses that we have in clinical psychology pathologizes cultural differences. So an example of that might be, let's say that you're a family who lives in a home multi-generationally. Maybe you've got grandparents and parents and kids, right? And so some cultures would say, yeah, right? Of course, because my grandmother makes the best food ever, and, my mom, she's so much fun to be around and we just love to be, they help me take care of the kids and we love being in this setting where we all get to be together. We love each other. We're family. We support each other. But in psychology, we have a tendency to pathologize that. We say, there's some problem here, right? There's this sort of like failure to detach and go live independently, right? Something is wrong. We need to get in there and fix this. We need to separate everybody and have them living in their own houses. That's a very, culturally biased perspective on people, right? So to be culturally responsive, to understand the culture that these girls that you're speaking about from the STRTP will be coming from is going to be so important. That they come in and they feel not only well taken care of by us, but understood. The other lens that we're working from is a trauma-informed care lens, which means that we look at behavior as communication. And you might think about this with the kids in your life, your kids, your grandkids, right? Your neighbor's kids. You might think about that. It's a slight shift, right? When we see a kid that comes in and has a really bad attitude, and we start to look at that and say, okay, they're trying to communicate something to me, right? They're communicating that they feel scared, or they're communicating that there's a change happening in their life right now and they're overwhelmed by it, right? Or maybe they miss a family member that they haven't been able to see in a while, right? We go in with sort of a curious attitude of, I wonder why there's an acting out behavior right now, instead of an immediate, let's come with a behavioral consequence. Right? You have to comply with what I'm telling you to do, or there will be a consequence, which is something that you see more in juvenile detention. Right? Juvenile detention is a little bit more of, we don't have the patience for this, do what you're told, or there'll be an immediate consequence, right? So we want them to feel more like that they're in a home, but not just a home, but a home that is designed for their healing. So I'm really excited about where we're going to be able to take that. And, I'm happy to talk to you guys more about that, but those are some of the foundational principles upon which we are building our clinical components.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go back to that slide real quick. That was the wellness labs. So this is just your this is just like your summary of how our wellness labs work, our pathways. We have a structure around it. As I mentioned, those are our 4 programs. And then the cohorts underneath, you'll see where it says Mommy Matters, Daddy Counts, Creating Happy Futures, Empowering Wellness, Minding Our Village Elders, and Black Mental Health Task Force. Those are basically people separated by demographic identifiers. I'm a parent, I'm a Black woman, I'm a Black mother, or I'm just a mother, I'm just a father, or I'm an elderly person, or I'm a child. So we just gave them pretty words. And essentially, they are put into a cohort by program. So if they were a CalAIM client, meaning they were eligible for ECM and they were a mother, and their primary problems that you're talking about in case management is parenting issues, they would probably go in Mommy Matters. Because then they'd be qualified for the BEAM group, which is Black Excellence in Motherhood, that's Black Mama. Or if it's a non-Black mama, you could create a mama group that's not for Black mamas. The only group we have running right now that's ongoing is our Black Mama group. That's the only one that's consistent because I've been leading that one. And it's been from other grant funded monies and I also, because grant ran out, I used ECM to keep them enrolled in a group. if we did not have ECM, they would just lose us as a community. And that they were the model that we built all this on, that one group that came from a grant. And it's important. They came together. They started a text, our LCM who was helping me with that group started a text group chat, or what is it called, group chat? You know, I'll be doing this technology. I'm not in the group chat on purpose. I don't want to be in nobody's chat to know everything. But other people are in the group chat. And it has been the #1 way we get people to come. Whenever we get like an opportunity from baby to baby to get their families Christmas kits, like where we get full blown. Amari, what'd you get last year? Amari always gets something because he's one of the kids that gets it. This is my son, by the way. So he got a whole like outfit, hats, video games, school supplies, backpacks, hygiene products. And because we know about this resource, we'll just text that group and the moms like, y'all, any of your kids want it? And they will immediately be like, yes, our kids. And we'll be able to give them all these resources because they're already in the cohort and in the community and they get priority from it. So it's really important that you know that you can create cohorts within your caseload and even send separated email newsletters to them by cohort. So maybe a Mommy Matters, all the people in your caseload as a case management client who are moms or who are dads, or the youth one, the Creating Happy Futures, if they're a child under 18, they're in that cohort. Start identifying, okay, I got 10 kids under 18 in my caseload. Maybe I'll do something for them. Maybe I'll do a separate group for the boys or for the girls, or maybe co-ed, depending on what I'm hearing they need. And most of these kids don't need a therapy group. They want a group where they can connect to each other and play video games or something. Probably a Discord group. I don't know. Be creative and do what they want to do. I always ask him, what kind of things do you want? Be like, why you ask me all these questions? I just want to know. And then I even try to hire him. Do you want to run a group for me? But he busy. But I mean, because a kid running a group will get more kids going to that thing. I'm just saying. So that's called youth outreach. We be training people with Art Guard. That's what our Art Guard program is. We're training kids how to outreach to other kids using art and gardening and play. So we actually go into his school. I got a contract with the school to push into his school and do Art Guard in that school. And then my kid by proxy gets community service hours from all his work by hanging out with me. This counts if you want it. And then we have Minding Our Village Elders. We would like more outreach to the senior centers, the OBGYNs and stuff, because yes, we have relationships already, but this is your opportunity to identify cohorts and treat them, okay? And then wellness pathways. We created these wellness pathways because our wellness labs have a training curriculum. You will learn more about those pathways, how to facilitate these wellness labs in your self-paced training, and we'll be here for you to answer your questions in that way. All right, next slide. I think we're almost done, guys. And now we just want to get you a chance to see what it looks like on your computer. Yeah, this is our last slide. So in the end, I'm going to stand up for this. Congratulations. I put my hands off to you. Thank you for sitting here all day and for trusting something that you had no idea what it was. I sent you contracts. I was like, excited. Show up. You know, because I really couldn't give you my intellectual property, my ideas, my time, my energy, my efforts without you being fully established in relationship and with complete buy-in. I don't need providers like this. I'm happy you are here. If you choose to accept the challenge, like Mission Impossible, then that's where you is today. And if you choose to let go after this, like, damn, that's just too much. I can't do that. That's okay too. Send me an email and dissolve your contract. But I do thank you for being here and being willing to listen and to be on the front line with me as the general, and you guys becoming your own generals and your own warriors and yourself. And that we are now moving into practicing collective care. I have written books, I've created curriculums. I intend to really move forward with this language being the language of social-emotional learning of kids and the language of social-emotional learning for our community who is most impacted by racism, by being historically under-resourced, by intergenerational trauma, by eugenics, epigenetics. I could keep going down the line, because that is what we're addressing here, and just take that with you. And thank you, thank you, thank you.